Hello, everyone. This is Apostle Babe Linda James, your favorite apostate. And tonight I have with me Matthew. And Matthew, if you can do the thesis kind of announcement thing that you do, can we start off with that,
Okay,
please?
thank you very much. And it's good to be with you, Linda James, and it's good to have the audience here. I see Jay Mars is already chipping in, but yes, we like to just do a disclaimer because we like to be a safe program on YouTube and with the community. So we say that whatever we discuss here, we're using essential critical thinking, which means that whatever thesis is presented, that we welcome antithesis. And the idea is to work towards synthesis. So if we've got a healthy skepticism, that's also good. So we're a healing community. We are essentially coming together as friends or as observers. And so some of the information we're just working on. So if we take that kind of approach, then that's going to keep things respectful and it's going to keep it safe. How does that sound, Linda
I love
James?
it. That's perfect. It, um, it, you and I have got experience within this organization, and that's why we speak on it. Um, it's our experience that, you know, I'm not professional anything. I'm not a therapist. I'm a professional hairdresser, which they back in the day would call a pretty much a therapist. Your hairdresser is your therapist, but I do like to talk about the techniques and tactics that this organization uses, and it's the same techniques and tactics that other high control groups will use. And I don't mean just any kind of group. I'm talking about a destructive group that um, you join because you think that you're joining something that has the same morals as that you have, or you believe it's going to help you be a better person. And it really does help you be a better person. But then when you find out that eventually what happens is your own authentic personality is chipped away and you cannot be who you authentically are anymore, that's robbery. That's robbery of who you are. And if they have to make you believe that this is godly, then that's very, very dangerous. Um, Jay Mars says, Linda, you do a good job. Thank you so much. And Dallas is like, beautician, yes. Matter of fact, my granddaughter is at beauty school, just started about a month or so ago. She's going to be a beautician too. And my grandmother was a beautician. So this hair thing, this hair industry is really in our blood. And I think, being a hairdresser, when I was working, it was like getting to be an artist in my day job. Like, I am academically challenged. If I had to have a job where I sat at a desk and had to do math and stuff, I'd probably just break out in knives or something. I so would not want to do that. But because I got to be an artist in my day job, it was really fulfilling to me. And I do have admiration for people that are, let's say, accountants and stuff like that. Like, I have a good friend who is an accountant, and I'm just amazed at their talent. And I know that all of us have unique talents, but we weren't always able to be our gifts when we were involved in this organization. We were kind of directed away from certain things that we were interested in. And we were told to hold off and wait till the new system to get involved in those things, because what's more pressing and what's more important is sharing this gospel of the organization. So, oh, Dallas, your grandma was a beautician too. Okay. By the way, Dallas, you have got a very unique color hair. It's really unique, and it looks good on you. Not everybody with your color hair looks good with your color hair. It works with your skin and everything. That's a real honest compliment I have for you. Which, that's another
Good
thing.
to
A
be with you,
compliment.
Dallas.
Yeah, isn't he? It's very easy for compliments to come to me. Like if I will see things in people and easily compliment them, and that's always came very natural to me. Um, so if I tell you something really off, um, it's probably because I've waited a long time till I've said it, and otherwise I don't usually tell somebody, "Oh no, you can't wear that," or "No, oh no, you can't wear your hair that way." Whatever works for you is what works for you, you know. So, do you recall during your time, or even now, Matthew, finding yourself drawn towards a certain interest, but it was poo-pooed on, like it was suggested to you not to get involved in it?
So I don't know if I could catch you there. The sound was sort of fading a little bit, but are you talking about some kind of interest and maybe becoming hesitant? Did I read you correctly?
Yeah, I was asking if you had a self-interest that you wanted to pursue, but it was suggested to you by an authority figure, maybe your parents or somebody within the congregation, an elder or someone of higher authority than you, that suggested you not pursue it, but rather directed you more towards activities of the organization.
Yes. Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, would I have wanted to be a magician, for instance, or would I have wanted to be an actor, or be some kind of rock star or something like this, or go into fashion? Yeah, I think you got a pretty good read on some of the interests that I have. Or how about this one? Gone into something like parapsychology, for instance, or got a doctorate, or got a degree somewhere. All of those kind of things apply, or even more into the sports side. So yes, I think there's lots of these kind of decisions, especially if you grow up in a high control religious group that is indoctrinating from very, very young. I mean, this is molding us during very, very sensitive times. And your question, if I can just expand a little bit further, Linda James, when we're talking about shifting blame, right? Because now we've got a religion that's saying, no, hang on, did we tell you that you couldn't do higher education? Well, yeah. You enforced it at the elders level, and there was penalties for doing this. I mean, persons that ever decided to do that at Bethel and perhaps get a law degree and pulled it off, they were dismissed when they were found out. This is exactly what happened. So I talk about shifting the blame, and maybe I'm stealing your thunder a little bit, Linda James, but I was just thinking about Dr. Stephen Hassan. He points out that when an institution becomes abusive, because there's good cults, there's bad cults. But my experience was that there was persons in guardian roles that were abusive, and I was seeing it more and more, and good people were seeing it more and more, and they're still seeing that kind of fracture. One of the clearest warning signs is blame reversal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about that. So I don't know how you wanted to lead in there, but I didn't want to steal too much thunder. But I was sort of thinking, is that where you're coming from and asking me the question?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you put out a song this week, Shift the Blame. Is that what it's called? Blame. Yes.
So a little bit of that.
Subject is a big one. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for drawing attention to that. I did point out a little bit behind the scenes of what that song is all about. It actually came from the belly of the beast, because that was somebody within the JW system who you could say is still trapped within that, or still navigating their way out, or trying to navigate their highest ethic and trying to deal with this thing. And what they are seeing as injustice is, he says to me, Matt, do you mind just writing something about shifting the blame? Because that's what we seem to be doing, in reference to, say, for instance, somewhere like Norway, which has been under the spotlight. And he's quite aware of that. And he's going, yes, you know what? This is what we seem to be doing most of. All of these higher ethics things that we're supposed to be preaching not seeing a lot of it. So do you mind making a commentary on it? Do you mind making an art statement on that? So that's how that song or that imagery with your elephant,
Yes.
shifting the
Yes.
blame and then going through different ages or whatever.
And the elephant,
it is about the blame.
Is the elephant is, which showed up in your video as well, is that like representing like the elephant in the room that we never really talk about, but it's so huge? Why aren't we talking about it?
Yeah, so it's
something else.
It's your song logic. I mean, that what you've identified there, you can already see there's a comment on that, and some persons have observed it and just written to me privately. But yeah, the way that thing is designed is to give commentary that can lead into that, and so it's not. Part of the art is not explaining everything away, because different observers that interact with the art might see something slightly different. So I do have a rule not to give away all of the things. I might just do a little bit of a lead in, which has got enough for persons just to connect with it, that resonate in a certain way. But I am being upfront with what was the design. It did come across, or it came to birth by somebody who was in the system, who's navigating, who says, Matt, we need to talk about shifting the blame. What's your commentary here? What's your Salvador Dali your family background in arts? What is your take on that? And so that's how that came to birth. But Hassan, clearest warning signs is blame reversal. You want to talk about the elephant in the room, or you want to talk about the elephant problem? All of those things apply. So I will embrace that interaction with the art piece, because it's the system endeavoring to protect itself by shifting responsibility onto the individual, by saying, oh, the harm that happened, that's if they actually acknowledge it, right? The harm that happened, that's because the person was weak spiritually, or they were rebellious, or they were immoral, or they were misunderstood, or they themselves misunderstood the rules. But that's shifting the blame. It isn't accountability, it's control. That's all it is. And so once blame is internalized, it's a very unhealthy thing. Survivors often end up, if I say this to you, Linda James, I think it's going to be a trigger point. I'm going to just say it. Survivors often end up policing themselves long after they've left the abusive system.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So Hassan, he identifies blame shifting as a core control tactic. That's all it is. The institution causes the harm. Then it convinces the victim, okay, I'd like to think of ourselves as survivors. But let's just use the word victim. Hassan says, in that situation, the abusive institute does the blame shifting. It's the control tactic. It's causing the harm. The institute is causing the harm, it's causing the dilemma, but then convincing the victim that, oh, it's your fault.
Yep.
It's your fault this has happened. That's not discipline. They'll say that this is loving discipline. To give you no options. If you choose this way, you're disciplined. You choose this way, you're disciplined. Choose this way, discipline. Gabrielson, who was representing the state in Norway, which has come under the spotlight recently, was going, this is the dilemma situation. This is creating the abuse. It's not discipline. It's abuse preservation. So the person who was wearing the T-shirt saying shunning is a crime, I say, was it institutionalized retaliatory shunning shields abuse. It's abuse preservation. So recognizing that blame shifting is often a moment that survivors or persons that are emergent, or ex-JW or Jehovah's Witness emergent to becoming something greater spiritually, recognizing that blame shifting is often a moment that survivors begin healing. Linda James, because it relocates the responsibility back where it belongs. Or we say, yes, I do bear a measure of it in a balanced way, but I realize where the cause was coming from, within a system that caused the harm. How does that sound?
Yes. Yes, that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so spot on. And when you don't see it, you will doubt yourself, because usually this is coming from people that are that have a higher level of power and authority over us. A parent, maybe, or a spiritual leader, or a teacher, or a police officer, or our government. These are people in positions, not our peers, but people in positions of authority. And when they say such things, we're taught to have a bit of a reverence for them. We're taught to respect them, and so we're not going to talk back to them, but we will question: is that what I'm doing? Is that my intent? And you'll be accused of things. I'll be accused of things that I hadn't even thought of yet. But you'll question yourself and go, is that what's going on? So it makes you doubt yourself. And you were talking about even sports. The thing about getting involved in sports, and I'm not a sportsy kind of person, I'm at all, but this is the thing you get out of sports. You become a team player with a group of other people, and there's a bit of competition. And when you're, local team in town or whatever, softball team, or as you're growing up in school, you're also taught to be a decent loser. Instead of being a sore loser, you're taught to take it with dignity. You're taught to shake the hands of the other team, tell them good job, and to, you win some, you lose some. That's good stuff, that's going to help you later on in life, in your adult years, with situations that are going to come up. And being a team player gives you a sense of identity. Let's say the team is called Trojans, like the Trojan horse. Okay. We are the Trojans. We are the Trojans, and you might have this kind of team spirit kind of thing that you guys will shout out. And then there's cheerleaders there talking about the Trojans, this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. People in the town show up and want to watch, and they mention the Trojans too. So you got that sensation of people being for you. You've got some cheerleaders, and yourself. You're learning how to play the game without being a sore loser, or throwing a hissy fit is not okay. You're taught to be playing the game with dignity. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that are going to help us in our later life.
Yes. Well, you're tuning into the lyrics of my song there, Linda James, and I appreciate that. It's a very powerful metaphor that you are referring to here, because in fact, I'm gonna praise you if you don't mind. It's very
I'll
insightful.
take that. I'll take some praise. And
Yeah.
see, I used to be like, oh no. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So look, this is not a flattery thing, but I just think it's an insightful thing, because in healthy environments like sport, what do you learn? What did you say? You learn how to win with humility. You learn how to lose with dignity. This is what I'm hearing you say,
Yes.
because losing isn't failure; it's actually growth, right? So
Yes.
yeah, okay. So it
In life,
helps
we
us.
win some and we lose some,
Yeah. I heard you mention that now for our adult years, am I correct on this, that you're building the resilience and the identity? Did I catch that?
Yes.
You were talking about, let's say, a name, the Trojans. But, in a high control religion, religious system, or whatever system, the natural development gets hijacked, right?
Yes.
So there's no safe way to lose. There's not.
No, there isn't.
Besides your double bind situations where whatever options you choose, you always lose. Questioning, doubting, disagreeing, those are normal human experiences, but they're framed as moral failure. So instead of now learning resilience, you learn self-suspicion. That's what comes out of it. And then over time, you don't just question your performance, you question your own worth. Hello? what are you worth as an individual? And that's where the identity erosion begins. So, yeah, in sports, losing builds character. In a coercive system, losing becomes sin.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of developing resilience, you develop the self-doubt, and eventually you don't know who you are outside the team. So that's control systems. They collapse identity into group identity. You're not performing for the group, or if you're not performing for the group, you don't exist.
Right.
And that's the shunning policy, or this selective association, as was framed in the Norway thing. That's exactly what it does. You don't exist.
That's the thing about shunning, yes.
But
Robert
I'm even
K.
going to say
Lipton would call that the number 8 of his 8 criteria is totalism, a dispensation of existence. Like you don't even deserve to exist, according to whoever an authority figure has decided. And if they can get the rest of the congregation to shun you, that's another level of horror. Okay, let's say you get kicked off the team. Maybe it's a baseball team that's called the Trojans, and you broke some rules. Okay, you broke some rules. The consequences are you get kicked off the team. Now, if the coach says, all of these kids, mind you, you've grown up with them. Okay, you've gone to school with them. You'll be in school with them on Monday. If they're informed that they need to shun you, that's another level of evil. To treat you as though you are dead? That's another level. Not okay.
Linda James, we've got some good comments in the live stream. Dallas is talking here. I don't know if I can read some of these out. Can I?
Yes, please.
Dallas says respectful questioning is supposed to be allowed. I did respond to you, Dallas. I said, that's the deception. So it's disappointing to discover that it's not true. Sorry for my spelling there, but yeah, it's been a long day. Elaine Brain Drain is talking here. It says, Nards blame the victim. Yes, so true. And then Dallas also says Beth Hell. So, or Bet Hell. Yeah, that's how it is. But Linda James, coming back to the shunning thing, you know, while you were talking there about shunning, and this is a word that JW uses, this idea that apostates.
I thought it was. I have to make fun of stuff. I thought we apostates just out of nowhere came up with the word, and pressed it on the watchtower.
Yeah. The fact that Jehovah uses the word shunning in Job, in the book of Job, does that mean that if Risdale is representing JW and he's telling the truth under oath, is he actually slyly saying that Jehovah is the apostate?
Possibly.
You know, if he loses, and that's pointed out, the relationship ain't going to be the same, you know. There's a good chance that you know, if that's what he's slyly saying, that Jehovah is the apostate. Wow, that's quite a thing in his presentation in advocacy. But look, coming away from that, what you were saying about shunning, that's the next. Can you say natural step? I would like to think that that's the unnatural step, but yeah. That is the next natural step in an abusive, high control system like Hassan is talking about, because you can name it very clearly, you can name it very compassionately, and with some proper thought here for a healing community such as like what we're involved in. Because when shunning happens, it's not just social separation, right? It's actually identity punishment.
Yes.
Am I in the right direction?
Yes, absolutely.
Because, you know, yeah, in healthy systems, let's look at that. In a healthy system, if you leave the team, let's say, for instance, we leave, what is it, Trojans. You still keep your humanity, you know, you still keep your history, you still keep your relationships. But in a coercive system, shunning says, well, if you're not part of us, you don't exist. That's devastating. It's absolutely crippling because what can I say? The system already trained you to doubt yourself. So when shunning hits, the pain isn't just loss. No, it's the terror of thinking that maybe they're right. Maybe really I am the problem.
Exactly.
Oh crap! This is, excuse me,
Mhm.
but shunning weaponizes attachment. That's what it does. And so after years of identity erosion, if you've grown up, what is it? Born in, right? Born in.
Yes.
It turns separation into psychological exile. So, okay, I did say let's make it gentle, right? So the real recovery begins when survivors, persons who are emergent, I'm trying to frame this with positive language. There's a realization that shunning is not evidence of failure, or like Risdell said, the selective, what is it? Limited association. It's evidence of how threatened the system was by your autonomy. Is that strong enough?
Mm-hmm. I can recall him saying, "Nobody's ever worried about being shunned." Wow. Nobody ever worries about that. Okay.
Well, this is why a person said to me, Matt, lose the advocacy story. Yeah, sure. He lied. Matt, just call him out for what he. I said, no, hang on.
No, but
He's
that's
doing
right.
his job.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I can remember another case of a gal, young teenage gal, 15 or 16 years old. Um, so there was somebody at the Kingdom Hall who wanted to be with her and ended up being with her. And it was not with her consent. And somehow the elders found out, I don't remember how. And the elders told him that unless he can prove that she was a consenting to this, we have no second witness that this even happened. Well, he actually audio taped this event. And then later, during the judicial committee in questioning her, they spent 5 hours playing this tape, which, by the way, she had no clue existed, on and off for hours. They would stop it and ask her, what was going on here? And what was going on there? And what were you thinking here? And what were you thinking there? She was mortified, embarrassed, horrified, shaking, begging them to stop. And they would not stop. They would start it again and play it even more. This ended up needing to be seen by a group of judges. It was like maybe 4 to 5 judges. But I can remember the lawyer for the organization was a female. And I can remember her saying, oh, I can get her to talk, because they were concerned about, bringing this up in court and all this stuff. And one of the judges just said, let me just stop right here. I've never heard of such a thing. Like, it blew him away. A seasoned judge, okay, was shocked to no end. Never heard of anything like this. And this is what an elder had done to this young lady, which is not a lady. It's still a child, okay? And for some reason, they thought that was an okay thing to do. In questioning her, making her relive it, re-traumatizing herself. And this was their way of getting her to admit she was actually compliant to the event, And another thing I've heard is that women will be asked in these situations where it might not be consensual. This is a term I use, patty cake, okay? Usually for consenting adults, okay? Playing patty cake. And I got it from a cartoon a long time ago with Roger Rabbit and his girlfriend. And he was
Okay.
like, "Oh no, they didn't play patty cake, did they?" So that was the term I now use. Okay, but
Oh,
in this
right. Oh, I remember that. Roger
okay,
Rabbit.
so
Yeah.
it's just a thing. But in this situation, it's definitely a matter of grapes. Okay, which is not what I see as patty cake. So I've heard that elders will be asking a woman, "Did you scream? Did you scream?" And I've heard that if they didn't, that meant they were a willing participant in what they've received as abuse, what they see as an intrusion that they did not willingly consent, even adults. Um, so they would end up with a consequence, of
Right.
discipline within the organization. And another thing is, and this is very unfortunate, is if a teenage young man, again, still a child, is approached by an adult, okay? And the elders look at the
Oh,
young teenager, okay, as though they were voluntarily being with an older man and then deemed gay, and then disfellowship for being gay, okay, when they in fact could not have given consent because of the age that they are, and they were approached by an older man in the congregation. Why I went on this rant, I don't even remember, but it's
okay.
atrocities is basically what I'm talking
Well,
about.
okay.
And
So,
it's the
Linda
blame
James,
shift.
can,
It's
can I
blame
give you a
shift.
reaction?
Sure.
Here it is. The reason why I was sort of staring into space there was as you were telling me this story, I'm going, this is harrowing.
Are you
Really?
familiar with the?
Well, I'm familiar with the pattern. I might not be familiar with the exact case, but I'm sure I've heard this thing somewhere else
Okay.
because, look, the way you do things, you're right to slow the room down, and name what's actually happened. Being careful and truthful with care for survivors who are listening. I'm thinking of various ones that have connected here. But how do we talk about this live? What you're describing, Linda James? Okay, what I get? Okay, this isn't pastoral care; it's re-traumatizing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
So
blame shifting is happening.
yeah.
The
So the
teenage
young.
girl,
Oh, she's teenage. Right. Okay. So I'm
teenage
going to say
girl.
young woman. Young woman. Okay. I want to use the word girl, but actually, we can say young woman, right? So the young woman has already been violated. Did I catch
Correct.
that? Okay. So
Yes.
she's violated. This is devastating on its own. Then the authority figures force her to relive the trauma
Yes.
repeatedly. Oh, and without consent. This is not
Mm-hmm.
consensual. She's slapped in here in a captive
Yep.
situation. There we go. No safeguarding, without mercy. This is what it sounds like. And when she begged,
Yeah.
this brought an event to my mind. I had a young woman call me and said, Matt, I'm in the middle of a judicial process, tribunal, known as an elders committee. If the branch is listening to this, they know this case. And I said, what do you mean you're in the middle of it? She says, this thing's gone on for 3 days, Matt. The elders
God.
have fought in front of me, fighting each other. And I'm going, oh, so this thing's already broken down. And I said, do you want me to intervene? She says, no. She says, I'm just telling you. She says, I'm going to allow them to just disfellowship me. I don't want you to do anything. Just please allow the process. She says, if you do, you're going to make this thing worse. She says, just allow them to disfellowship me. I'm coming back. Don't worry. I've already resolved this thing in my head. Okay. Just don't. I'm just telling you because I'm telling you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We cool? Okay, we cool. But while you were telling me this story, I'm going, this young woman has already been violated. The authority figures have failed, quite frankly, in the due process because they forced her to relive the trauma because she's begged them to stop.
Yes.
And what do they take that? They take that as insolence, or they take that as disobedience or some kind of rebellious nature. Yeah, I've heard this kind of story. I'm trying to hold back here, Linda James.
I hear you.
So they crossed a line.
Quite frankly, I want to bitch slap somebody, but I ain't got somebody to bitch slap. But that's what it makes me want to do. I have that protectiveness that's like, how dare you? But I'm not going to slap nobody. It's just, Yeah.
Okay, so let's call it for what it is. It's actually, they crossed a line from incompetence into abuse of power.
Yes.
Do you want to add to that? Is that right?
In a way of it's your fault. In a way of blaming the person that's been abused.
Yeah. But now you told me the story of a judge because this became a civil case. Right? This became a civil case.
I believe so.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put
So
it gets to a court case now that's external from the JW judicial system or the elders committee system. So that much we know. Okay. So now the fact that a seasoned judge, that we do know, a seasoned judge now had to intervene and go, what? I'm shocked or I'm outraged. I don't know. I would say if they weren't outraged, they were shocked. And visibly, now that tells us something crucial, that even professionals who see trauma every day, they recognize this is profoundly wrong. And that reaction matters because it confirms that this wasn't just handled badly inside a religious system. It failed basic human and legal standards. And that's where this thing keeps going wrong on a human rights level. Linda James, you can tell me about human rights. You can tell us about what the points are. But look, I don't want to put you on spot.
No, it's treating somebody inhumane. And in this situation about this girl who is a teenager, the guy was maybe 18 or 19. Okay, so in real life, if this was a couple that are wanting to be a couple, there's like a frame that one of them is a bit older than the other. It'll get to be that one's over 18 and one's under 18. That's not considered according to like police officers or that kind of thing as being inappropriate. As a matter of fact, I had even asked I've asked police officers about this. I've checked with the law about this. And, because I've had teenage girls. Okay. So when, sometimes this will happen. So, and in one situation, one of my girls was older than somebody that they were with. And I wanted to make sure they weren't going to be considered a perpetrator but they weren't. So, legally that wasn't a bad thing. But in this situation, it was not a consenting situation at all. And it was to hear a judge say, I've never heard anything like this, says a lot, says a lot. And I'm glad that it was eventually taken to the secular courts. And then, when I mentioned, an older man meeting up with a teenage boy, and this teenage boy gets deemed gay, whether he is or not, then disfellowship. That's blaming the victim. Okay, an older person with a younger person, they might think they're consenting. They might even think they're in love. And you know what I'm saying? An older person doing that is not okay, especially within a congregation or a church situation.
Look, it comes back to this when institutions are prioritizing reputation, because that's what I think we've learned that now. I mean, especially with the recent cases. You've been doing this a hell of a long time now, if you don't mind me saying, but you've seen the patterns. Okay, so what the chatter is, and governments are talking among themselves. I did try to point that out with Rick Fearon. I don't know if that came through on his channel, but I was trying to point that out, that look, the governments aren't noted. Oh, it could have been Casey. I might be mixing up which channel I was on, but Casey and Anthony, I was saying, look, when institutions are prioritizing reputation and control over human dignity, right?
Yes.
Survivors aren't just unheard. And that's what was coming through. That was how the Norway thing blew up to its proportion that Gabrielson, who was representing the state, was talking about, saying, look, are we creating active harm again? Do we have to have these disasters before the state can actually intervene to have preventive measures? This is why outside accountability becomes essential. You want Matthew 18, because they talk about the 2-witness rule. Well, Matthew 18 says, instantly you can have a witness, and it can be recording. Do you know why? Because Jehovah in the JW system records everything. That's how we got the Bible. What's it, John 1:1, the word becomes flesh? Well, you're allowed. It says you can take along a witness. You assume that that's human. If it's an egregore system, like you could say, and with all due respect to the audience, Jehovah could be an egregore in a legal system, right? You're allowed to record instantaneously. That is your right as a person. You're allowed to take notes. You're allowed to record. If they deny it, then you can take notes. If you come out of that meeting, you can send the notes back and say, listen, this is my memo to you. You now have the right to adjust these notes if you think that I've made an error in transcription. But what you're doing is you're creating the paper trail for the legal system. It's very, very important. And I know this is heavy material, Linda James. I'm quite aware. But I hope that in this discussion, in the way that we know each other, that we're actually grounding it. We're not dramatizing it. No.
I didn't make up the story. These were actual stories, actual cases. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what's the focus? The focus is on systemic failure. They, without getting into graphic detail, what they're doing is they're preventing the person from having the paper trail. Why? Because they want to minimize their own institutional liability. This isn't about spiritual restoration in this case. I was not put onto those kind of cases, Linda James. I'm telling you this right now. I was compartmentalized for years, at least 2 decades, maybe 3. So, I don't know. How's that for commentary? Is it sort of ticking the right boxes?
Yes. So, we're also seeing it with the government here in the United States. Well, first off, we've watched someone in the UK arrested the other day. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. Arrested and held, for a long time and then released. And beforehand was royalty taken away from him because of his association with Epstein and accused of giving over information with Epstein. So we're seeing some consequences happening over over there. Yet here in the United States, we had some attempts of trying to hold some people in Congress accountable to do their job and actually hold some people accountable. And it was very unsuccessful, so much so that I can remember a time in the courtroom that I was watching, and victims were in the courtroom, alleged victims of Epstein or whatever he had going on, were in the courtroom, and they were given a chance to stand up and raise their hands so that Pam Bondi could actually apologize to them for not approaching them in her investigation of this case. That did not happen at all. And there's this iconic picture of her just looking away, and they're all standing up with their hands up, looking over at her, waiting for her to look at them, to acknowledge them as, victims of this situation. And that's not happening. And the way it's being approached by our president is very, there's nothing to see here. Let's move along. This is getting old, when in actuality it should be handled more properly, but it's not. The organization of the Watchtower, kind of goes along with that, and it's there's nothing to see here, and only people that are entitled to know get to know, and we've got it handled.
Yeah.
You get told these things for years upon years upon years, and the term theocratic warfare, which is the belief that some people are just not entitled to know the whole story or the truth, which I see it happen within the congregation either as well. So as we have these levels, those that are lesser levels are not entitled to know the truth as maybe somebody else. Okay, we got Gigi. Welcome.
Oh, Gail's with us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. Hello,
Good
Gail.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hi.
I just want to make a correction on what's on the update on, I assume you're talking about Epstein. Well, Prince
I
Andrew
am.
was arrested, and they did not
That's
arrest
right.
him for any pedophile charges. It was racketeering or something to that nature.
Did I say anything about pedophiles?
No, but that's what they should have
Okay.
gotten him for. No. I'm not correcting you.
Okay.
They should have gotten him on those charges, but they didn't. They got him on
Okay.
racketeering instead. But they have photos to prove he's leaning over a young woman. You don't know if she's drugged, if she's even alive, and they've got a photo of him leaning over her, and I don't know why it's like, 20, 30 years too late now. They're finally arresting him for something that happened, in 2019, 18. And now they're finally arresting him. But it's going to be interesting. They're calling now for Prince Charles to step down and William to take over. Because they're trying, well, he must have known what was going on, because Fergie's implemented too and all this stuff. So there's a lot of levels with this stuff. Lots. I don't know if you saw Wexner, who owned Victoria's Secret and Abercrombie and Finch. He lied and lied and lied and said he had nothing to do with Epstein today, but that was a lie. If he didn't have anything to do with Epstein, he gave Epstein proxy to go over all his finances. So of course he knew him, but he lied to Congress that he didn't know him. But this thing is huge. And
it is huge, yes.
In 2019, see, I do a lot of research. In 2019, all this was coming out, but nobody wanted to hear it. Even Epstein's driver came out and he did a podcast. But
wow.
he even said he was going to get opted for doing it. He talked about Zorro Farm. I don't know if you heard about that, the New Mexico ranch where they're looking for bodies now. Mm-hmm. And he talked about what was going on at the ranch, and he said, I'm probably going to be opted. It was an anonymous. He wouldn't give his name, but he sent a file to CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, and nobody did anything about it. So now they're looking for 2 10-year-old girls that they just snuffed them out in the Sex Act. And it's interesting, the woman who came forward in 2019 to talk about the farm, she can't be found anywhere. So a lot of these people who come forward as whistleblowers, they all of a sudden disappear. And, there was talk. I was listening to Sean Atwood. He's from England, and he had Lionel on, and they were talking that they're wondering, will the royals take care of Andrew, if you know what I mean? So if they get rid of him, then that ends everything if they get rid of Andrew. And then today, they're trying to say that Ghislaine Maxwell is in Canada, and they proved it with an AI. They did a picture of her then while she was in Canada, and then they did an AI to prove it was, I forgot what they call it, proof. You probably would know this, Matthew, when you show someone's photo and you match it up with an AI, and they tell you if it's authentic or not. Well, that's what they did, and the AI came back and said it was her. So I'm going to find that, because she was supposedly appeared in Congress a few days ago, but that definitely wasn't her. I don't know if you can. I'm not good at pulling up stuff, videos that you can look at. But they had her in Congress. She didn't say it. She kept saying, "I plead the fifth," and I'm like, that doesn't. You know, it's not even her. It doesn't even look like her. But they were trying to pass it off her. So I agree with what you said, Linda. I don't trust Trump either. I think they've known this for years, and I think they're all covering for each other, because one of Trump's cabinet was there with his wife and kids to Epstein's Island, and he's one of his cabinet members.
You know, as much as I don't want to believe anything like parents would show up with children for a situation that could damage their children.
Right.
After listening to Stephanie, who's been on 6 screens, I've interviewed her. She's been a victim where parents have set their children up. This is something that does happen. I can't say that's the case with this Epstein situation, but when you said you want to make a correction, was the correction that
I was going to say about Trump, because he's come on board now to get this thing resolved. So he released, I think, 3 million files now, but I still don't trust him.
Okay, because when somebody says they want to make a correction from something
Well,
I said I want to get down to the what I haven't pinpointed it yet. The correction was about Trump, because now
Yes.
he's okay. Thank
Now
you.
he's on board with releasing it. But here's the thing, and I'm not sticking up for anybody. Here's the thing. Biden and them all had this information. No one said boo for 4 years under his administration. You can look all this up. All of a sudden, now that Trump said that was one of his campaign promises, that he would release the Epstein files and the JFK files. And then I was thinking, these girls that are coming out, they've been with Epstein for 10 years. So now all of a sudden they're doing the poem. And please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. They're all coming out now, but they were with Epstein, some of these girls, for 10 years. They were even helped in putting together human bodies and serving them to people. So now they're all, where was everybody in 2019 when that model was running out of Zorro Ranch screaming they're killing people? She was out in the streets screaming her head off. They're killing people. She says, and she's yelling at everybody, do something. They're killing human beings. And she wasn't heard of after that. So I think a lot of people are scared to come forward. I really, really believe that. Because this thing goes way up. You know what movie you should all watch? Eyes Wide Shut. Guess who
I knew you were going to say this. I knew you were going to say this.
Guess what the movie's about? It's Epstein. It's about Epstein. And
interesting.
Stanley died 6 days after he finished the movie. Well, they wouldn't let
the producer or the writer?
Stanley Kubrick, who made the movie. He died 6 days after he finished filming. Well, they told him they didn't want it released unless he deleted some of the parts in the movie. And he refused to. He told his wife, he said, you know what, I think I'm going to get bumped off of this one. And then they got a hold of the movie and they deleted 24 minutes of it. And that's all facts. They deleted 24 minutes of the film. And they did reference that it was the leading actor was supposedly Jeffrey Epstein, and Stanley Kubrick knew that way back then. He knew Epstein, and he knew all about him, and he was trying to let the public know what these people were all about and what they were doing in that mansion, which is a real mansion in New York City. It's just really despicable.
Wow. Linda James, can I address some of the things that Gail has mentioned?
Go right ahead.
Because, look, Gail, I hear where you're coming from. You know, when we come out of these abusive systems, right, we recognize the patterns. I mean, our intuition, because we've had to survive so much, right? So, look, just for Linda's show and for community and YouTube guidelines and things like that.
I'm sorry. Did I say too much?
Well, Gail, I think what you say.
If you don't hear from me, for a week.
Hold on, Gail. I value. Listen, you know I value
I'm
you.
sorry,
I
but if
value-
somebody tries to track you down, I pity the fool that tries to chase you down.
Gail,
Well, go ahead.
Back to serious.
I value your intuition. I value your wealth of experience in nursing. All right. I mean, you helped me come out of myself. All right.
I
You
did?
really do. Yeah.
Thank
You know that by now, and I don't want to go over it because if
No, I
I
know.
make you
Can
cry,
I
I
say
can make you
something? Having had to take two of the clients to court. That one, they were raped by a local guy. He was a custodian at the church that these women went to, and one night we were having pizza, and they said, "Is it all right that he touches our breasts?" I'm like, "What?" So they're telling me that the
Wow.
well, they were, mentally,
Special, right?
yeah,
They
special
were-
needs.
Yeah.
They would do recognize special needs. And I'm like, no, it's not all right. And then they all chimed in and said what he was doing. He'd have them over for movie night. He'd make popcorn and he'd have them all on the couch, groping him. So
Wow.
we got in touch with the lawyer, and she took one of the women, Pam, but the judge wouldn't even listen to her because he deemed her incompetent to speak. He didn't think she was capable of speaking. So I said, look, you need to sit the women down and talk to them. And this is going to scare the crap out of them. It would scare me too if I had to go in front and then talk about all this. They're scared. I says, you need to let the judge know that, or maybe you can do a video, which the judge allowed one of the girls to do a video, an
Okay.
audio rather. So instead of her appearing, because he knew it was going to be too much for her to handle. But
Sure.
on the other side, some of them don't come forward because they're scared.
Absolutely.
My own daughter wouldn't come forward for years. I didn't find this stuff out till she was in her 20s.
Right.
Okay. I give up. How many strikes are we going to get here, Linda?
Okay.
What's
By the
wrong
way-
with that? What's wrong with saying that?
Well, it's kind of going boobs and all sorts of detail.
I'm not sure
Look,
yet, but
I
what
wanna
I
be-
do know, let me just interrupt here. What I do know is that
I can't
the
say
last
that.
time the last time you were on, Miss Gail, when you played that song, it got a copyright. Really good song. And then
Oh,
later
no.
on, by the way, Vern and Shauna
Yeah.
helped support me to have this channel, which makes it so much less than I would pay on my own. So it's kind of like they're sponsoring me, but you know what I'm saying? So
Oh, I apologize.
she let me know that it got dinged, but she went in and edited it. So tonight she might have to find out that she has to go in and edit some.
Oh, she can delete me. That's fine with me.
So
Gail,
I'm not
I'm
saying
going
we
to try and
want
recover it.
her to have to do that all the time, but
I'm
just
sorry.
saying
I'll
that's a
keep my.
possibility.
I'll be good.
And I do think that-
Gail, at the same vein, I want to validate your opinion. I really do. But because we're on the YouTube thing, I want to just try and see if I can help support Linda here. But you as well, Gail. I don't want to invalidate what you're doing, but I think you know where I'm coming from. When I jump in, I'm just trying to slow down.
Oh no, I understand. I understand fully.
That's all it is.
I apologize.
Trust me, I can get. Linda knows I can get riled up about it, but the outrage that people feel around, let's say, figures like former Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein, it's understandable. And look, I think this is labeled a healing space. We've already done our disclaimer, Linda James, but that can only protect us so far.
Okay.
But it's understandable. That's what I want to say. So power avoiding accountability, it deeply triggers people. Gail has come in here raw with that. That's what's happened here. Gail, thank you very much for this. You've come in raw. That's a human expression, and you're candid. But what matters for this conversation is not necessarily graphic allegations or speculation about, let's say, the monarchy. It's the pattern, right? So when powerful institutions control narratives or they limit witnesses in the worst way possible and close ranks, and you're quite right, we see these dynamics where victims are silenced and the truth is struggling to surface, that pattern exists, whether we're talking about states, royalty, or high control religions. But it's very important to focus on the systems, not necessarily the sensational details, because survivors that come into this, do we need more horror?
No,
Sometimes
I'm so
catharsis is
sick of
important,
it.
but we need clarity about how power suppresses accountability and how to come cleanly back against maybe whether it's Jehovah's Witnesses or whether it's an abusive system or government or whatever, without dismissing you or me or Linda, Gail. I don't want to sort of be picking on you or anything. I fall into this. I absolutely know I do. But what people are reacting to here in like the audience or that come in on the channel is the same mechanisms for survivors to recognize in, let's say, religious abuse, if I can bring it back to that, because we've come from the same thing. Especially when there's a conflict of interest, an elder who's got into trouble and then he's trying to silence people by controlling the narrative. That's what happened with me. That's what happened with my own father here. Because there's lack of independent oversight, there isn't the third party, and you get removal now of witnesses through isolation, and that's the through line. That's the abuse. And thankfully, whatever Norway decides, we saw this happening in real time.
Yes.
Now, under the spotlight with what happened there. And personally, I'm grateful for what's happened. If they come out with some radical thing that's not in everybody's favor, I'm grateful the transcripts are out there. I'm grateful that people actually saw the narrative and the way that, who was it, JW's representative, Rizdal, right, did things. People said, no, he was lying. I go, no, he was advocating. Okay. But it's such a parallel system for what's happening in the news media, whether it's like what you've described with the nobility classes or the governmental classes. They try desperately to get people back onto having faith in the system or faith in governance, because it's slipping out of control. People are wanting abdication. People are wanting presidents to resign, step aside, impeachment. And where do you now have law and order? Already it's very, very volatile. It's breaking down. What do? Where's the morality? Where's the replacement for where religions have failed, which was the old way of keeping some kind of morality system in place? There isn't a replacement theology. It's not happening. So what do? So Gail, I don't know if that steers it in the right direction, or Linda James, if that kind of brings it back on track for YouTube guidelines or whatever, but that's all I'm trying to do.
Oh no, very well said, and thank you. Going forward, I'll choose my words carefully.
Gail, you're very observant, and you know I'm a big fan. If I go on, I'm going to just embarrass you, because you're going to go, Matt, you're going to make me cry, and I don't want to do that.
Can I say something about, I'll go back on the subject you started off with, because that's what made me come on. I wasn't shunned, but I was mocked. And I think mocking is just not as bad, but it's bad. And being rejected, which ties into shunning and being mocked. When you get rejected by a group of people, your own family, your own parents, rejection is a horrible, horrible thing to deal with. Sometimes you never get over being rejected. And then what happens in life, you go and you choose a spouse or whatever, and you reject them because that's all you know is rejection, and you don't feel that you're capable of being loved by anybody. But no, I was mocked, and I felt rejected. But at the end, it really didn't bother me. But I knew I was mocked, because a lot of people wouldn't work out in service with me. A few did, but most didn't. So, to me, that's a form of rejection. But
Gail, may I ask you something personal about your daughter?
Yes.
How's she doing?
She's still in prison.
Got any good comms going there?
I think that, I don't know how to say this in the right way.
If I'm putting you on the spot, I apologize.
No, you're not. She was supposed to come home the second week of February. Now they're putting more time on her because they messed up in one courtroom. they messed up, and they won't own it. So they slapped 28 more days on her sentence.
Wow.
She's handling it actually very well, but I'm not handling it. I kind of wanted to make some phone calls, but then I better not.
Isn't it hard not to? Oh my God, yes. This whole thing of being a parent over adult children,
Mm-hmm.
it can be challenging because
Yeah.
you really need to mentally shift. They're grown adults. Is this the hill I want to die on? Is this going to support them in being an adult? You know, you just pick far and few in between things to pull rank on, you know. Every so
You're
often,
absolutely correct.
every so often, like one of my daughters will kind of talk back to me if she's in a different place in her head.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I'm your mother. And she'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. But she
I
doesn't.
say
usually
that all
have
the time.
but I don't pull that except for maybe every 9 to 10 years. Like, is that like I save it for when it really matters. So I'm empathizing with you is what I'm saying. I empathize
Thank
with
you.
because I would want to make those phone calls too and be like, what the hell? Y'all did this to, to my daughter? What's wrong with you? We deserve compensation. She needs to leave with a fur jacket,
Do you remember before the HIPAA laws came, you could call and they would give you information? Now, because of the HIPAA laws,
Okay.
huh?
I'm
Now
not
with the HIPAA
familiar
laws,
with when it happened.
the
Okay.
HIPAA laws, it's a medical, they can't relay any information without their permission. Now, before
Okay.
my kids were growing up, I could talk to everybody, teachers,
Sure.
doctors. Now you can't talk to we can't talk to you. I said, okay. But I try to, what I do is I sneak around that and I'll call the nurse's station.
We might recommend this, we might not. I don't know. But that's
Because
our
the nurses are, the
That's
nurses
too
are free
funny.
with telling you what's going on. So I always call the nurse's station.
Linda James, I just want to ask Gail, because you have
Sure.
been handling these things from very tricky situations. I just want to ask a grounding question
Sure.
about practical protection. I mean, we endeavoring to try and build community up. We're doing well. There's good grounding that's happening in our relationships with each other, and I feel in my own intuition that we're improving, that we're healing, we're getting to better places, and actually enjoyment's coming out of this. All right. But I wanted to ask you, from your experience,
Okay.
how do we protect ourselves from institutional abuse in whatever forms it comes? Am I putting you on the spot?
No, because I asked myself that a couple of times. Well, I try to keep my eyes, I'm wide open. I'm not punning that movie. I'm trying to keep my eyes wide open. And I'm not believing everything I hear, especially with the AI. I'm being very careful with this AI that's taken over humanity, because I don't know. To me, that's a scary slope to go down. I don't know. I think avenues like this and Fern and Joe's show, where you're not alone. Being alone and dealing with this, to me, is that would drive me. I don't know how I could deal with it if I was alone. I'm glad I have to have human contact and human touch, and I'm glad that we have avenues like Linda's show and Fern and Joe's. You have that support, you have the comradeship. You can feel the bond that people have with one another because they keep coming back. And why does everybody keep coming back? Because we all need this. We've all been hurt. We haven't been damaged, but we've been wounded. Wounds heal. Damaged goods, you throw them away, damaged goods, but we're wounded. And we were sold a rotten bill of goods and we all bought into it. But we're healing. I feel that we're all on a road to recovery, and it's going to probably take me to the rest of my life. I'm still recovering, and I'm learning new things, and I'm learning more things, and I'm learning things about myself that needs improvement. So I try to keep myself active and busy as much as I can. And I think conversing with others is a tremendous healing and help for me. I don't like being alone in this. And we understand. People on the outside don't understand. They don't.
No.
They have no clue what we went through.
Well, thanks for that, Gail. Linda James, can I direct something to you, please? I
Sure.
wanted to just say, well, I posed that tricky question to Gail for a reason, because I think it's very, very important. We know how to protect ourselves from institutional abuse. So I want to just say, what do you think about documenting everything?
That's one of the best signs that it's a smart thing to do.
Yes,
First off,
I
it's a
believe in
smart thing to
journaling.
do. But if you haven't literally made the decision to do this, but you all of a sudden find yourself doing this, you might
Yeah.
be getting gaslit. Okay? That's one of the first signs of knowing or realizing that you're being gaslit, meaning they're gaslighting you. Part of gaslighting you is blame shifting, is part of gaslighting.
Yeah.
But the extent of gaslighting is they really want you to doubt your own reasoning skills, to
Okay.
doubt your own mental abilities, and to get you to rely on them because they're smarter and more wiser.
That's
you know.
where critical thinking comes in.
Yeah.
So Linda James, thanks for that, and Gail, thanks for your thoughts there. I think that those are very, very valuable. I get strength from that, but you know,
I have a question for you, Matthew.
Okay,
When you
hit me
say
with it.
documenting, are you talking about journaling on your own thoughts and feelings? Or are you talking about documenting what you're learning?
Well, look, you're playing fair, and I think that's a fair question. Linda James, I'm just going to be free form, if that's all right. Eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think to answer you, Gail, what I'm thinking, and by the way, I get embarrassed playing back some of these meetings with these elders. Eh? I cringe that I'm actually I've allowed such a meeting to happen, but the reason why I've done it is so that I can have a record.
Oh.
Or excuse me, the goon show that's actually occurring. I see we've lost Linda James, but
Would Linda go?
Yeah, she'll come back.
Why do they have to have 3 people in a judicial meeting? Why? Why is there 3 of them?
That's very good, because the scriptures say if there's 2 or 3 gathered in my name, what is bound on the earth is bound in the heavens. So it's a biblical.
I never looked at it that way. Thank you.
It's called triangulated authority. That's what it's called. So if you're wanting it in legal terms, it's called triangulated authority. But to answer your question, Gail, if I may, keeping timelines, right? Dates, names, exact words, emails, messages. If the people say, oh, no, you can't record this, I go, oh, so then this information isn't important enough that I can remember. I have a faulty memory. So I have a right to have those notes to myself. What the problem is my distribution of those notes. But then even in a legal system, you are allowed a third party that is appointed by, say, for instance, government or court systems or enforcement agents to be the third party within a confined, protected space to examine and verify the so-called evidence or the allegations. So write down as much as you can as soon as possible. If they've told you you're not allowed a device, you say, well, then I should be allowed a witness, or I should be allowed 2 witnesses, or I should be allowed to take notes, and then I can send it back to you. You can tell me whether I accurately recorded these notes, and now there's a paper trail that's being formed. Because contemporaneous, I think that's the word, contemporaneous notes, they matter. Even years later.
Yes.
If the police say, no, we'll only accept this as a deposition, not as an allegation. Because when you preserve original evidence, you've got to remember, don't edit like a screenshot. Don't get onto Photoshop and start editing that. Keep it raw. Keep your recording raw. Don't edit it. Keep the originals backed up in more than one place, because let me tell you something. My experience is I have my place rated. That's what's happened. So have it backed up in more than one place. So like a cloud or offline or another hard drive somewhere that, if there's a loss or somebody comes in and steals or something like that, or there's an accident, you've got your integrity of evidence that protects you. Very, very important. And so know your recording laws where you live, because different jurisdictions have different laws. So
Yes.
yeah. So like in one place, you might have to get one party consent recording that's legal, and others it isn't. I'm going to say if you're in a religious system like JW, then they say to you, oh, we go by Matthew 18. Well, you say, well, according to Matthew 18, I employ my right, which was the agreement when I got baptized, to go by the little green OD book, Organized to Do Jehovah's Will. You said when there were problems, I was to apply Matthew 18. All I've done was I applied that. And then if government is going to get onto my case, well, I've got the right to practice freedom of religion, which is exactly the same thing that they pull. So you can say, no, I applied Matthew 18. I said I entered into an agreement with Jehovah's Witnesses to go by this book. So I had a right to do this in front of Jehovah God, which is my faith. So that's legal. They can't argue that. Otherwise, now they're arguing against their own right to practice free religion, which is where courts have to be very, very careful, and enforcement agents have to be very, very careful. But let's say you're in a jurisdiction where recording just isn't allowed. Your written records immediately after meetings are still very, very powerful, especially if you've sent them back and said, listen, you can adjust them. Avoid private institutional handling for serious harm. This idea, right?
Okay.
I'll tell you where I'm coming from, first of all, because institutions are structurally conflicted when investigating themselves. That's called a conflict of interests. Because for abuse, coercion, for criminal behavior, external authorities and independent professionals, the truth is they do matter. Within Jehovah's Witnesses, it's called the superior authorities. If they're telling you it doesn't matter, this is false. It's false coercion. Okay?
Okay.
So don't go alone. You're not necessarily safe. Bring a witness. It's your right to do that. If they deny it, then that's not a meeting that you want to be at. You don't want to be there. You say, this person, if there's something embarrassing about me, I'm prepared for this person to hear about it. But if you are denying me this witness, then there's something wrong with you. Make this very, very clear. All right? Because bringing that witness is your right. It's your biblical right, and it's your right within the legal system. Because if you're following up conversations in writing, to have a witness, that's confirmation. So when you can confirm what's happening in a meeting, it creates a paper trail. It creates a legal witness trail. It reduces gaslighting, and especially when trust patterns haven't been forthcoming and there haven't been explanations. If they've created the problem, okay, you can say, well, one incident, yeah, it was an accident. It can be confusing. But when there's repeated minimizing, repeated blame shifting, repeated secrecy over years, which is what happened with me, Gail. You know this. I've yapped about this for how long? And then there's pressure to stay silent, and it's a pattern. Guess what? That patterns are information, and having a record, it protects our nervous system. It abuses, when there's abusive people, they thrive with their abuse.
Yes.
And people are exhausted, right? You're isolated. You're ashamed. I feel embarrassed that I let this happen. And community therapy, what did you say? You like coming on for the friendship aspect or for the community, the peer support? That's not a luxury. This isn't what Linda James has got here. This is not a luxury thing. This is a safeguard. You can say, wow, thank you. I'm so grateful for this. I can now have a clearer head. It's not great, but I'm in a better space because I can document everything. I don't feel like I'm a Looney Tune. I've preserved the evidence. I know my local laws. I'm not meeting alone, so I can now have safety. I can follow up in writing. I can seek independent oversight now, which you denied me because the secrecy was trying to protect the institution from liability. The records now are protecting people. It's not just about myself. I don't have to feel it's selfish. I'm now protecting the community. I can feel like that we're in a more positive space. And self-protection, when is it disloyalty? No, it's not. It's informed consent. That's
Yes.
the truth. That's what we were denied. If I've got passionate, I apologize.
No. It was interesting what you had to say. Hey, Linda, I like your background. I like your font that you used.
Thank
I
you.
like the font.
I meant to have it set up earlier.
No, it looks nice. You know what I've been doing? I keep a journal. I write a lot of things down. And you know what? I got a time stamp because you can't write over the time stamp if you got a bright red ink. Get a time stamp and stamp everything. That's what I do.
Oh,
I do that with
okay.
documents. I write the time, who I talked to, and the time I talked to them, how long I talked. I don't know why I
Okay.
keep those, but I do.
Because you're street smart.
And let's talk about biblical times, okay?
Okay.
Think about the Proverbs 31 woman, right? Okay, when they speak of her husband as being a someone within the community. And you know where he's at? He's at the gates of the city, which is a public place, like the courts is a public place, which is what we have, usually here in the US. You go to court, people can show up and sit down and watch what happens. Yet within the organization, it's in a back room and we're not supposed to have any witnesses. So the things that Matthew is saying, yes, if we speak them out, we might be accused of not being, humble and all this other stuff. But think of, you can bring up biblical stuff that's like, wait a minute, they did stuff to where the whole city could show up if they wanted to, when they were being questioned by the church or these different things. So why would you might want to add that stuff on. The stuff you brought up earlier, Gail, about, the custodian and then somebody that you knew that was mentally slower. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but that's another example of somebody with a higher position simply because they could manipulate these victims. So fortunately, we didn't hear in this situation where the victims were being blamed. But I can remember, like, I've put somebody in prison, okay, because they came after one of my daughters. And this has nothing to do with the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Watchtower, okay? And I can remember when I was asking around to different people, I can remember them talking as though it was my daughter's fault. So I ended up just approaching the guy, and then I ended up sending somebody to his home in the middle of the night to say a few choice words, and then took his ass to court, okay? And because he was at a place where he had already abused, it was a 3 strikes, meaning at this 3rd strike, he would go to prison. Good. So that's what happened to him. He ended up going back to prison for 3 years. But getting moving wasn't easy. It was I was hearing the blame shifting happen, and we're not always going to have a smooth ride if we're going to report or say things about the atrocities. People want you to be silent. Why do you have to talk about this kind of stuff here at the table? Just, it's none of our business. It's anything to make us silent. Getting somebody to be disfellowshipped and then shunned, that's to silence us.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yep.
And those that have the courage to speak out the atrocities, we know it's going to make waves. But you know what? That's where we get to learn how to surf. That's where we get to learn how to hang 10. And we might even wipe out a few times, okay? But that's part of being somebody that wants it to be spoken out, and until something is done, right? That's the whole purpose of, okay, they got this. You might be for ICE and you might not be for ICE, but what's happening with ICE is that the community is showing up and telling them off, using their voices and saying their disapproval with the intent of them not feeling welcome with the manner that they're apprehending people. That's the purpose. They're not laying hands on them. They're not supposed to. So it's one of those things that you're expecting change,
right?
And we're doing it. Maybe it's it's going to hit them like we're nagging them. Oh, well. Okay. If making them feel nagged gets them to do something, then it gets them to do something. And when people go to court, some of these cases, within even the organization, if they find themselves at a place where, they'll take a certain amount, but then they have to not speak of it. Like I can remember Stephanie Fessler was a situation like 2017. This was a female teenager who another female adult groomed her. Okay. And it's very rare for a female abuser, but in this situation it was. And they ended up settling out of court. I just want to say that we need to give a little bit of grace. Yes, we would like them to take it as far as they can take it, to the grand whatever, but we need to consider they've been going through these different trips back and forth to court over and over and over again, reliving the experience, which is not enjoyable, okay? And they might get to a place where they can only take it so far, emotionally, physically, and if they're going to get a payout, that's going to help them, maybe they've built up a bill with a psychologist or something. Maybe that's going to help them get better care to see a doctor, sooner the better. So when we see that happen, even though we would like to see them go further with it, I just want to encourage us to have a bit of, respect for it when they do choose to do that with a gag order. And they have their reasons, you know what I mean? So we can get disappointed, but it's okay if you look at it in their ways, in their circumstances, to just give them a bit of grace. This whole thing about the song that Matthew came up with this earlier this week, which was amazing. This blame shifting is something that makes you doubt yourself.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It makes you take on the abuse as though you caused it. You may have heard statements like, well, if you didn't this, that, or the other, I wouldn't have this, that, or the other, and it was abusive. When I first, I've spoken this before, when I first got to know Cynthia Hampton, which she was on the Leah Remini show. And so the show where they talked about Jehovah's Witnesses, she talked about how her husband used to beat her. Back when I met her and she told me this, it didn't even phase. I didn't realize it was abuse. I was raised being beat. I was raised that it's what God wants. Okay. To get to a point to understand that some of the stuff that you've been going through is actually abuse, it's huge growth. I wouldn't have started doing what I do now, except for I've raised 3 kids. They're up and out. I've had to go through times of realizing, oh gosh, I've really screwed up here. I needed to do some apologizing, So over time, shedding these different things that I was conditioned with and how to behave by the organization to get to a point where I feel like I understand the doctrines that are being taught through the organization and the techniques and tactics that I want to teach and equip people for or with, because I believe it's going to help them not fall into another abusive situation, which, by the way, it's more likely than not that you will and that I will, but we're going to recognize it sooner. We're going to recognize it sooner. We're going to get out of it sooner. And we might have to do this 17 times. And that's actually normal. Okay? It's normal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called cult hopping. Go ahead.
There is an ending to the story with the 2 women. The judge didn't take them serious enough, and he ended up moving away. And I didn't know whatever happened to him after that, and I didn't care. But he was never made accountable for what he did. And I don't think back in the 80s, I don't think back in the 80s when they were integrating a lot of they used to call them mental retardation clients into the community. They closed down Walter Fernald, which was a hospital for all Down syndrome and other handicapped clients in the same Met State. They were two very seriously demonic hospitals in Massachusetts. Well, what was going on was they were integrating the clients, and they were buying up houses and letting the women in the houses. And to me, it was a wonderful program, but some of the society didn't want them as neighbors. So we've had some problems with neighbors complaining, and even my own son wouldn't come in into the program where I work, because I think a lot of people were so afraid, quote, with the mental illness, that they're going to catch it. And
That's interesting you say that.
And I used to have to fight for the women, because my job was teaching them how to go up to the center, integrate them into the community, teach them how to do their laundry. And this is true. I'd be walking down the street with a couple of them, and people would walk across the street. And I would, with my Italian temper, I would scream at them and say, you know, these people are more loving than you people ever will be, because I was an advocate for them. I took them everywhere. I brought them to my own home. And I treated them like they were human beings and how they should be treated. I'm sorry, but this whole thing with people abusing people and mistreating people, I worked with some of the worst stories that you could ever imagine. That was back in the 90s. I couldn't ever do it today. I couldn't do it today with the stuff that's going on today with people do to other people. I'll never ever accept it or understand it for the rest of my life. What people do to other people, I'll never accept it. And I just pray to my higher power all the time that someday this is going to stop. And we all have to be advocates and have a voice, because some of these people don't have voices. We're their voices. Right. And that's I feel right. I got thrown out of the courtroom with my daughter because I kept raising my hand. I wanted to talk to the judge about my daughter, how she was being misrepresented. They didn't understand the dynamics of drug addiction. They threw me out of the courtroom. They said I was, and her lawyer, he said, you can't. I said, look, why can't I talk to the judge? I have a right to talk to the judge about my daughter and let him know my side of the story. But he threw me out of the courtroom instead. So, but you know, I'm never going to stop fighting for the underdog. Never. I'm never going to stop.
And I love that about your spirit. I mean, I love that about you. You know,
I'm 90 years old. I'm not going to stop.
That's who you are. CJ Miranda. People are afraid of what they don't understand and can be cruel. CJ Miranda is a dear friend of mine who used to actually live with me when my kids were younger. My kids all adore him.
I'm sorry to get emotional. It's just
love you, CJ.
It's
no, it's okay.
It's a lot to
this stuff is it's hard, and I love the fact that you know you were mentioning people that it scares them. As a matter of fact, in the situation with Norway, while in court, some of the wordage was the wordage that we were using during that time when people were sheltering in place. What was it? What kind of distancing what was the term? Okay, something distancing.
Limited association.
Yeah, that's what the word that was used at that time. Social distancing. Okay, I guess it was. Anyways, why would somebody socially distance yourself at that time? Why did we? The intention behind that was because what was going on was contagious, right? So we wanted to socially distance so that we didn't catch it. That's the whole idea, wearing the mask or whatever else. Yeah. That's the idea behind it. So when it was used in court, and because people that leave this organization are called mentally diseased, it connected in my head like believers don't want to catch what the apostates have, right?
Yeah,
that's where my head went. It's part of we don't want to get close to them because we might catch it. We might catch apostasy. We might catch,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? As if apostasy is contagious. That's where I was going with this. Yeah.
Well, you know, people, it's a lot of it's a lack of education too, and knowledge.
Absolutely. A lot of our fear is lack of education. And isn't that what bigotry is based on?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Lack of education. Foreign things that are foreign, we can be scared of it, you know? Matter of fact,
Linda,
CJ Miranda, he was living with me at the time 9/11 happened.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
I am not a morning person, and his ass knew better than to ever wake me up. But he did that morning. He came in
oh,
and woke me up. He's like, "You've got to look at the TV." And I looked at it and went, oh my God. I went and got all of my kids out of school and brought them home. I just needed them next to me because we didn't know what was
You didn't
happening.
know, right, exactly.
We didn't know what was going to happen next. And at that time I was doing at church, the church I was attending, I was doing youth group. I led youth group, and instead of going with what we had planned to go with, I just opened it up for us to all just casually talk about what had happened that day. And I didn't even know how to explain it. But what I did share was I experienced it as though somebody else came and took our own fist and punched us in the face with our own fist. You know, that's the only way I knew how to explain it. But getting the conversation going I think was pretty healthy, you know? And again, we didn't know what was going on at that time yet.
Linda James, can I chip in a bit?
Sure. That's why you're here.
Well, I like checking in with the chairperson, you know, and you're a very gracious host, Linda James. But I want to say that, look, Linda James, what's coming through is definitely the heart. I hear that with you. I hear that with your experience with the youth group and all the things that you're relating here. But I wanted to focus a little on Gail, please. And Gail, I hope you can take this. But yes, look, from what I have learned about you, all right, one of the reasons why I feel I get on with you and I go, yes, I enjoy being with you, Gail. Thank goodness you're here. I loved it when you were on Ruby and Jimmy Bell, because I go on there and I go, what the hell am I going to talk about? What do I know about politics?
Well, I don't shut up.
And you're there and you're getting into it.
I don't shut up.
Hey?
I don't shut up on this show.
No, let me tell you, you didn't know I was there, but I was listening to you chirping along and I'm going, geez, you're doing a really great job. And now I feel a bit better going back to that channel, by the way, because I was going, what the hell am I going to talk about? There's nothing I'm going to talk about. But I wanted to say, Gail, you know, it's clearly evident to me personally, it's my opinion here, but you sound like someone with heart. I'm tuned into that. First time I met you, I go, oh, here's a person with courage. Here's a person with lived experience. And what do you deserve? You deserve warmth. You deserve validation. You deserve to be uplifted right now, not somewhere in the future, but right now. So I want to try and frame a response, if I may, with Linda James's help, with the audience's help. I see Dallas getting in there. I see Jay Mars getting in there. But, you know, try and frame a response that acknowledges where you're coming from with your experience, that respects where you're coming from, that's also gentle encouragement too, that keeps you energized and supportive and moving forward. And I hope that you can take it from where I'm trying to formulate something positive. So, Gail, I want to say thank you for sharing what you have expressed there. Getting emotional, thank you. It shows your humanity. I'm going, okay, I can now relate to a human, not an automaton, not a robot, you know. And I can hear the depth of your heart, Gail. I really can. And the years of your experience.
Well, this is bringing up stuff, you know, that I had to deal with. Do you know anything Elders used to say about me? I was too damn independent for my own good, and that wasn't
okay. Well, am I still an elder, Gail? Because they couldn't remove me. They're all guilty as hell. So I'm still an elder. So let me tell you, from one elder to you, okay. Yeah, in a spiritual sense, it's clear you've seen the harder sides of life. I'm not saying no.
I fought with them. I fought with them. They didn't like me but they could never I did get disfellowship once, but I won't get into that.
Okay, so you survived that. But here's something I wanted to tell you. Your commitment to the underdog, and I'm using your words, your commitment to the underdog never wavers. Doesn't. And that persistence, that courage is incredibly valuable here. because your voice matters.
I've been attacked for it several times.
Yeah, but you also struggle getting the praise too. You're fighting me. I can sense it. Why? Because it's not easy. But your voice matters. And even when the system fails you, even when people try to silence you, the fact that you continue to fight and speak from experience is inspiring. When you were with that judge and they're telling you, no, this isn't the place for that, you fought for what you believed was ethically correct. You didn't allow people to be, or you didn't allow that silencing thing to come upon you, so much so they even threw you out. So I want to tell you, Gail.
Then he wanted to know how old I was to my daughter, the two secure. Oh, who's that lady? Who are those? She goes, that's my mother. They goes, your mother? And they said, how old's your mother? She's 74. What? They couldn't believe. I'm like, what are they doing?
Oh, you're 74.
About your mother. Well,
so we see you, Gail. I see you. We see you. And this community is stronger because you're here.
Can I tell you all a story? It's
Did you first hear me, Gail?
Yes, I did, Matthew. Thank you, and I love you, Matthew. And I love you too, Linda.
Not easy to take the praise, but it's your turn.
No, everybody says that to me. Everyone says that to me.
Okay, I'm shutting up now.
The greatest teacher in my life has been, and you're probably not going to believe this, but I married an alcoholic. He was a Vietnam vet, and he died from Agent Orange. He was an alcoholic, and he was abusive. What did I do? I met another alcoholic, Heather's father. And what those two did to me, they used almost equivalent to mind control. They used to always say I was crazy. And they called them crazy makers. They both of them alcoholics, get the same ammo. They try to spin it all the time that I was crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. And they started to break my spirit at the time. But I didn't, getting divorced at a young age and having two little kids, I was very shy. I wouldn't speak up. I wouldn't even go on a bus by myself. But when that divorce did to me, because I grew up, with a white picket fence and you're going to stay married for I felt like a huge failure in life that I couldn't even commit to a marriage contract. But I had to get out. And this is a true story. I got on my hands and knees and asked God to take him away because of the pain I endured with this guy. Because he never came home. He was drunk all the time. He abused me, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I divorced him, and I felt horrible because we became friends, 5 years ago before he passed away. He looked me up, and we talked for about 3 hours. He told me how sad he was, but he said I was very strong because he raised my two kids, and his two children are doing wonderful. My son's in New Zealand today, diving with sharks. My daughter, she has a beautiful family, 3 daughters, a college grad. So I did pretty good raising them on my own. And I never told them I was divorced because of the stigma that was on you back in the 70s. So I didn't let them know. But being married to 2 abusive guys, well, I wasn't married, I had this father. And they were both alcoholics, and I couldn't understand why am I attracted to alcoholics. And then my cousin, who was raped, and he became an alcoholic. He said, you know what it is, Gail? He goes, meet a guy who's 20 years sober. He goes, you'll still have the fun from the alcoholic personality, but you won't have the abuse and the drinking. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. He said that, but no, now I can pick him out. I'm telling you, if I went out, I would attract the alcoholic. I could be in a room with 500 guys, and the one who's the alcoholic, bingo. And it just happened to me recently, a year ago.
That's like this rug on your forehead that says, come screw me over if you're an alcoholic, because I'm right here and I'll take you.
And the signs were all there, but I knew to get rid of them right away because the signs of the alcoholic personality was there. And it didn't take me long because I said, I'm never, ever going to get involved with an alcoholic ever again. And I didn't. But that's the lesson I learned. That's what taught me to be who I am today. I'm not afraid anymore. I was afraid. But now I'm not afraid of anything after I went through that. So I know it sounds probably, I don't know.
But this is your wisdom.
No.
This is how you've gained your wisdom. This is.
No.
I mean, I'm
Okay.
75. I went through, I grew up in the 60s with the drug era. Everybody, I was they used to call me the nurse because people were doing second alls and 2-and-alls when I was, and back in the 20s. And I was sick with a nurse. I'd have a little cup and I put the pills in that. I always stayed straight because people would, overdose, or we didn't know what an overdose was back then, or people would have a bad reaction. So I was like the nurse and I would take care of everybody and make sure, they sobered up before they went home. So I always had to be in control, and I'm that way today. I don't want any person, place, or thing to take control of my mind. I am very protective of myself and my being. I don't let anyone control me. Never, ever. As long as I live, I vowed that that's not going to happen to me again. So that's
Linda
my
James,
story of who I am today. I had to bring you back to the 60s to what I am today as a
no,
result.
it's important. And you've been through so much, Gail. And the way that you keep showing up, it reminds all of us why these conversations matter. So your insights on addiction, the dynamics, the advocacy, giving your voice to the unseen, they're exactly why the space needs persons like you. So thank you for not giving up. Linda James, I want to just mention there's some very important comments that are being sent to, I would say, all of us, but Gail especially. Can we read them?
Yes, please.
Oh, she's not going to be crying all night now.
Yeah, well, cry your eyes out, bawl your eyes out, because Happy Thought says we need a virtual group hug. Elaine Drain says, I'm sorry, but yeah, she says, I'm sorry. Dallas is saying, Gail, sorry to hear about your sad story. Jay Mars has also leapt in, gone hugs to Gail. So look, you got a big fan club here.
Oh, I love John and Dallas.
Right.
Dallas is saying, Amore, Gail. Dallas, I love you, Gail. Ooh, yeah, Dallas was, I love you, Gail.
Amore. Look at that.
Yeah, Happy
Close
Thoughts
enough to be
ends
his
off. Our
mother.
arms are open wide to encompass everyone, no matter where we live. And you get an XXXX. So there
I
you
guess
go.
it was meant for me to come on tonight.
Yep.
Yeah. J Mars just sends out the red heart. There you go. Boom.
Oh, he's so sweet, John. I want to get his phone number and call him up.
Okay,
I want to
that's
call
it.
you up too, Matthew.
Okay, I'm zipping up. I'm quiet now. Dallas is just beaten. I think there's a competition going on, but you got 4 hearts from Dallas.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's it. J
I guess
Mars
I was
is
meant to come
laughing.
on the show tonight. I feel like I went through 1 hour of a session on the couch with the psychiatrist.
I love it. But being able to talk to other people that have been involved in this organization, which is an abusive one, and they often use that technique of blame shifting. So if you happen to be getting blamed for something and you didn't do it, think again. They might be doing it. Okay, that's blame shifting. And don't get caught up in this whole for days upon weeks upon years. I've been there. And blame shifting is a very, very common abusive technique.
Yes.
That makes it to where your eyes are off of them who's doing the abuse to you, and makes you self-reflect and have shame and have guilt. No. When people do that, sometimes it's hard to realize people are doing that. It's to get you off of looking at them. Okay. And it's the pain and it's the cruelness that is the point. And if they can blame you for the cruelness that they are doing to you, then they've got you oppressed. They have you silent. They have you away from them, not holding them accountable. Okay?
That's 100% true.
Yeah, I mean, you were just talking a few minutes ago, Gail, about how, you were being told you're crazy. You know what? If you've been told you're crazy, you're nuts, you're insane, think again, because you might be actually spot on. Reflect back to those things, and with the wisdom that you have today, see if that might have been a situation where they were actually abusing you in some manner that you didn't see at the time. Blame shifting. Blame shifting, blame shifting. This is a big deal. And
I'm going to study that because my brother-in-law said that to me. He said, if you're being accused of something you didn't do, she goes, it's usually, he said, it's usually what they're doing, but they want to put the focus on you. Exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
you're
it's
right. I
blame
mean,
shifting. It's called blame shifting.
yeah,
Yes.
blame shifting, Gail. So Linda's absolutely spot on. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the reason why she does this show, she's got plenty of practice and wisdom in this, because it isn't just a tactic, Gail. Okay, so when you look this up, it's a weapon. You're going to see, oh, this thing, it
Definitely
makes
a
us question. It's weaponized. Okay, it makes us question ourselves, and we feel undeserving. This is why Linda James goes, oh, can you actually recognize it? Yeah, sometimes you can't, because you're feeling so undeserving and you carry guilt for things that were never our responsibility.
I know, you stop questioning yourself.
Yeah. So that shames is the mechanism. It's the weapon. It's the mechanistic weapon that keeps the abuser in power. That's all this thing is about. It's a power play and an institution that is protected. Recognizing it is hard. I was listening to Linda James saying, oh, that's if you recognize it. Yeah, it's hard because it's designed to feel like it's our fault. But once we see that, I'm not talking about shifting our responsibility. No, it's very, it's very, very different. We've got our responsibility. We've got to be accountable ourselves. But I'm talking about this abusive situation that recognizing it is very hard because it's designed to feel like our fault. But once we see the pattern and we start reclaiming our voice, our boundaries, and our right to accountability, you know, blame shifting creates guilt and shame to silence us, but the abuse isn't our fault, and seeing the pattern is the first step to reclaiming our voice. Very, very important. That's a moment of freedom. Moment of freedom. Yeah. And that's when accountability begins, even if the institution refuses to recognize it. Doesn't matter. We get our freedom. That's the moment of freedom.
Well, I learned something new tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gail, because I appreciate your emotion. I really do.
Well, I didn't expect it, but
I appreciate your humanity. I really do, and I appreciate your experience. All 75 years of it.
I'm glad I came on the show tonight. I really am. I'm glad I came on. It was very enlightening. Where'd Linda go?
Linda has left the building.
Like Elvis.
Huh?
Like Elvis. Linda left the building.
She knows exactly where I'm coming from. Yeah, that's an Elvis reference.
Well, that was good. Thank you. That was excellent.
Elaine Brain Drain.
Huh?
Elaine Brain Drain saying, so Matthew JW uses scripture, spare the rod, spoil the child. Yeah. So that's just in reference to the double bind where they were promoting corporal punishment. And Jeffrey Jackson said, no, we don't do that. But in South Africa, it's actually illegal. So anybody who carries it out, it actually creates a liability path back to the elders who coercively say you got to obey us even if we're wrong.
I'm going to put out something. I say Jeffrey Jackson is a little bit of a freak. Okay?
I can't stand
because when he was asked at the Australian
Royal Commission, what a weasel. Go ahead.
About corporal discipline, he wouldn't really answer right away. But his first statement was, me? No. He was talking about himself being spanked. Go back and look at it. Then he goes into,
word.
Do they teach it? Just check it out.
I was brought up we were brought up in the 50s.
Oh, that's clever, right?
The belt was used a lot when I was growing up in the 50s. Everybody was getting beat up by their parents in the 50s. And thank him, today my father probably would be in jail for corporal punishment. But back in those days, everybody got the belt.
Yeah, I did too.
Normal. We all thought it was normal, part of growing up.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, Gail. I mean, the things I saw happening at the Kingdom Hall was outrageous. Guys just losing control.
Yep.
And it wasn't love. In their minds, they really rationalize it that they're being loving
yeah.
people. They really do.
They do. Yep.
And brazen, eh? I mean, I remember one guy, he was being filmed. People were shocked and they were filming him on his cell phone. He didn't care, eh? He was wild.
Wow.
Absolutely wild. And so wild that you could see his focus, sharp focus, brazen focus, like he's going, I do not care what you guys think. I do not care. Arrest me, do what you like. He did get arrested, by the way.
Wow.
Did get, but the police let him go. But at least there was a record.
Matthew, I have a question for you that I was asking. I have a friend, she's an active witness, but we're very close. And she said, even if I get this fellowship, she's going to continue to talk to me. But she's on the fence. I'm trying to get her to open up. And I think she has, because she does a lot of, she looks at a lot of stuff I tell her to look at. Well, anyway, how many witnesses do you think there are today? I don't believe 8 million is still the head count. I don't believe that.
Gee, that's a good question, Gail, because how do we answer that? Because they fudged the numbers so much.
Yeah,
right?
I was just curious. How many now?
Yeah, I can think in my family that they count a couple of family members who faded a long time ago as active.
Oh.
I mean, it's like morbidly hysterical because it's just crazy. So how do I answer that? I think that's the big question. Even like on Rick's show, we go, how do you quantify this when it's been fudged so much?
Yeah, exactly.
What we know is it's dishonest.
Same with the anointed for the partaking. They haven't come out with the numbers with that yet either.
Yeah, Dallas, hi.
Hi, Dallas.
Well, hi there, yo.
How you doing?
I just knew that Jeffrey Johnson, he committed perjury, right? He's guilty of perjury.
Yes.
And you was having a serious situation about what's abuse today. It was like slavery.
Isn't there a case going on today with it's a horrific sexual abuse case, but I forgot which state it was in. It was just on YouTube today about another elder being accused of heinous crimes, and I forgot which
Didn't they
state.
bring it to New York?
They're going after the governing body, yes.
Yeah.
Let's call them that GB. You know what that's abbreviation for?
Goofballs.
Ooh, here it comes.
The goblin bigots.
Who?
The goblin bigots.
Oh, goblins. I just said gobblad.
I call them the goblin bigots.
Not the blundering body.
They're actually goblins because they're of Satan the devil.
Yeah, they are.
That's why I call them that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the big thing, Gail. How do we know what the numbers really are, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
I know it's step away. Just
pardon me, Linda.
I'm going to step away just for a minute, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
So Dallas, you're now in charge of the show. How do you want to direct it?
Go, Dallas. Go.
Well, I think it's I know that some of these things that I've been hearing, there's been so many depressing stories in your life, and it's just so sorry that you had to experience that.
Are you talking to me?
I am. It's so sad.
I'm okay, Dallas. Thank you, honey. I'm all right. No, it's I've gone past it. It's over with. Something, it made me. All those experiences made me who I am today.
And
I don't look back either. I don't look back. I try to move forward. There's nothing
That's
I
the
can do.
best you can do. But we still got our grievances.
Yeah, well, most of them are dead in my family, so there's not that many left in my family.
I've had some deaths myself.
I'm still
Well,
here.
Dallas and Gail, we've got somebody who suggests that they might know what the number is.
Oh,
And,
cool.
Elaine Brain Drain suggests that Barbara Anderson, I think,
She might
thinks
know, yeah.
4 million. She reckons 4 million.
Yeah, I'm friends with Barbara on Facebook. I can ask her.
And
4
Barbara
million.
Anderson
Wow,
switched
that's like-
on. She knows
Wow.
things.
4 million. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, it's a difficult question because, I mean, they're even trying to push for 10 million. I don't know where they get that from.
It was 9 million when I came in the 70s. Then it went down to 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think
Yeah,
the
so I don't know where
75
they're pulling this 10 million from. I think
in
it's,
1975 got rid of a lot of people.
yeah. Yeah, very difficult. So anyway, yes. Dallas.
It was because that 1975 frenzy.
Yeah.
Which I've met some of them that came in because of that frenzy.
So, Gail, we learned quite a few things, and I think, Dallas, from your experience, we were talking about some of the practical, actionable things we can do to be grounded and safe and survivor focused. And so we were talking about, practical steps for survivors, such as documenting everything. Gail, that sort of resonated with you, right?
Yeah, I've done that I learned to do that when one of my jobs, I had a timestamp, and I decided to get one on my own. And my boss taught me that. I dated everything, initialed my initials on it, and the person I spoke to, and the reason why I spoke to them.
So, Gail, so that's keeping notes of events, dates, times, what was said, who was present, emails, the messages, letters. That serves all as evidence if needed later, right? And so look, Dallas, I don't know what you think about practical steps for survivors, but preserving evidence safely, making sure you store it in a safe place, photos, recordings, knowing your local laws about what you can do with recordings, whether it's legal. But Gail was talking about building a trusted support system. Dallas, I don't know what you have to say about that, if anything.
Well, isn't that what we're doing now? Go ahead, Dallas.
Wait. Well, I think that's a great idea, but go right ahead.
I think he shifted it on to you, Gail.
Whatever you got to say. Anybody?
You have to just pick a subject sometime, and we'll all talk about it. I'll bring, one dedicated show to someone's life experiences. I don't know. I like to hear about others and what other people have gone through and how they survived, and what are some of the things they did, and what are some things that didn't work, and what's some things that do work. I don't know, like trial and error. I don't know. I'd like to hear from people.
No, I like that, Gail. And you, Dallas, what do you do to build a trusted support system, or how important do you think that is?
Well, it's being given. You earn others' respect, and that it just works that way. You earn one's respect, and then you get acquaintances that then some even become friends.
Yeah, good.
You build your own extended family. Everybody needs a social group.
Like networking. I'm a firm believer in networking.
And sometimes I even go out and meet up with friends go out for my morning breakfast sometimes and my coffee.
Yeah. And when it comes to sharing experiences with people you trust, Dallas, I mean, you talk about your coffee or going out, just supportive peers or even therapists. I don't know. What do you think?
I just like to hear my fellow diners hearing they have their things, just hearing and then learning some points from their conversations. I think that's a great thing. You learn, and the workers there, the servers and other ones, to learn from their conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So they-
avoiding isolation, Dallas?
I don't do good with that at all. Being isolated, I can't be.
Yeah.
Good. I can't either.
Yeah, look, abuse thrives when survivors are alone, right?
Yeah.
So, look, yeah, that's very, very important. The friends aspect is very, very important, and to have that mutual respect as well. People tune in, and they tune in to your own truth wave. We might be struggling with communication, but if we're holding on to the truth to the best that we can communicate, they tune into that, right? So, yeah. I was just thinking about following up in writing. So whenever you've got any meeting or conversation with authorities or institutions, you send a short summary email just to confirm what was discussed, and it creates a trail and prevents misrepresentation. So, yeah. And then, of course, when things go wrong, seeking the independent oversight. So where possible, you just involve lawyers. Maybe you can't afford that, but maybe social workers or external authorities or even the police, especially if the institution is abusive. Very, very important. Because in institutions investigating themselves, that's a conflict of interest. How is that ethical? It just isn't. So external accountability matters. Oh, here's one, Dallas. How do you protect your nervous system? Any advice? And if I'm putting you on the spot, you must tell me.
He stepped away, I think.
He stepped away. Okay, Dallas.
I'm
Oh, no,
here.
there he is. He's back.
I'm hey. I have to get my thing that get me a Ricola because yes, I do.
Dallas, whenever you're ready, you don't have to answer now, but you can maybe think about it, or if you want to jump in or not. I'm not forcing you, but I was just wondering what you have to say about protecting or a person protecting their nervous system, because healing and even advocacy, it takes energy, right?
Yeah. There's different ways you can look. You can read different things or listen to different things that, especially what ruins your nervous system is what we were spoon fed by the cult.
Sure.
And how you can erase that out of your mind.
And taking breaks.
It's a lot of work.
I absolutely breaks, exercise, doing some certain athletic activities.
What do you know about grounding, Gail?
To keep one grounded?
Yeah, because you worked in mental health for a long time, right?
Yeah, we were more working on boundaries than being grounded. Boundaries. We all have boundaries around us. I was learned that we have like an R around us, and when people get too close, I don't know if this ever happened to you. Sometimes when people get way too close in your face, you have a tendency to want to push them away because that's
Sure.
We all have an R, or not the word R, but we all have what's the word around us? About and yeah, we did a lot of work on boundaries, and a lot of people overstep their boundaries.
Reflex,
Reflex.
pushing somebody away. You were talking about
Yeah,
that.
if someone gets too close to me, I will push them away, and I'll say you got to
Okay.
back off a little. I don't like seeing it in my face.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries, that's a great one, even if it's symbolic. Boundaries.
A lot of families don't have boundaries. They have, the word is that they have enmeshed boundaries, which everybody's in everybody's business. I suppose the Kingdom Hall could be like that too, have enmeshed boundaries because they get into your
Yeah,
business.
that's unreal stuff, getting into everybody's personal things. I mean, wow, where's the boundaries there?
Well, that's
I
what I
mean,
mean.
people-
A lot of people don't have boundaries. It's called enmeshed or ancestral boundaries,
Oh,
which is a
right.
word a lot of people don't like when I use it because they do have some ancestral problems.
Well,
Yeah.
what you're really describing is that there's not a separation, like let's say between a mother and a daughter.
Yes.
They're enmeshed, so it's
Yep.
like their body ends here, but their child's body ends there. So they don't have a separateness. They're entwined, enmeshed. That's what that's talking about.
Thank
So
you.
they don't have a separate identity,
Right.
if
Very
that makes
good.
sense.
Thank you.
And I think you were talking about personal space. So, for instance, I'm a hairdresser, right?
Yes.
When somebody sits in my chair, before
Yeah.
I would start to do their hair, in their mind they knew I would start to touch them. They knew I would get into their hair.
Uh-huh.
But if I was standing in line at the supermarket and started touching the person in front of me and
Yeah.
getting in their hair, that would be,
You're overstepping your
inappropriate.
Yeah.
Precisely. I would be invading their personal space. So if you could
Yeah.
just kind of picture a circle around you, that's like
Yeah.
a place where, unless you have an intimate partner or a family member,
Right.
they wouldn't be coming into that. And you
Hey.
wouldn't be
Yeah.
at ease with it. So
Nice point right there. And if
No, she explained it beautifully.
she did, that's the same as at stores or even out to eat. That one's doing that, touch, put their hands here, which I know. Well, I wouldn't mind them doing it.
Yeah.
I don't mind them.
Hey, Dallas, not to change the subject. Is that a fishing hook on your hat?
It is.
Oh,
It's a camp accessory.
oh. Do you go
What?
fishing?
Well, I did it. I've done it in my native Pennsylvania because we lived in a housing HOA that had a 300 acre lake. That's our original home.
Yeah, because I'm saying he's got something shiny. He goes, oh, it looks like a hook. Yeah, it's a fishing hook.
And then in Texas, my Texas life got my fishing license. Being a grown up, to get back to it again.
That's relaxing fishing.
It's healthy.
It is. I agree. With
I like catfish.
you. Oh, yeah.
Catfish is a big thing in the South.
Whiskers, right?
Yeah. And we get some huge catfish down in the South.
What's it taste like?
It delicious.
Oh.
And it is a staple fish of the South, but we eat other fish. We eat bass, crappie, and we eat gar. Gar is the long ones with has a snout and then it has rows of teeth. But however, they're not aggressive to man.
They sound awful.
But they eat them too. They got the biggest one is the alligator gar, but it's not
Oh,
aggressive. But it's because if you use pliers to remove the hook, because they'll assume your hand to be bait.
oh dear.
Not that they're aggressive. They just assume.
So you can get cut by them then. But
And they are native, but they're not aggressive, and they don't intentionally do it.
oh, thanks.
And we got bigger fish, and we got some crazy fish, and we got more snakes. Had more snakes in the Texas than we did but mostly non-venomous. But we do have what we call not only water snakes, we also have cottonmouth moccasins.
Oh, aren't
in
those
this.
poisonous? Aren't they?
Yes, they
poisonous?
are. They're venomous, the cottonmouths.
Now, aren't you in North Carolina?
I am. When we got cottonmouth moccasins, they are native here too.
Oh dear.
And
Wow.
and I
Did you
think
ever come across one?
I haven't, but I know to look for one if they coil up, and they call them that because their mouth looks like is cottony looking,
Oh geez.
and they will wag their tail. And
I'm not coming to visit you anytime soon.
but if you respect them, it's if you're used to it. In my area, Texas and Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, that area, I lived 30 minutes north of there, and actually areas of Texas, alligators are native.
Wow.
And we do go boating. I've been boating on Texas lakes as well. Gators are native in certain. They're native in the area of Texas I lived.
So Dallas, is fishing relaxing for you, or it's survival?
It's more relaxing. I didn't care if I got nothing. I didn't care.
Well, that's important for protecting your nervous system. So,
Oh, yeah,
so
fishing's
you get
wonderful.
energy from that, right?
Anything on
I-
the ocean, on a boat, fishing, it's wonderful.
I think that being in alligators, they are native in parts of Texas, even in the DFW area, but there's not a lot of them, not like Florida or Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
But I knew they were there, and we went boating and even have gotten in the lake off the boat,
Yeah.
knowing that gators, they are native there. But we're in a safe area, and they're not, and they keep their distance from you most of the time, so it's nothing to be scared of.
Interesting.
So Dallas,
And
what I
living
hear-
in the South for so much time, you get used to it.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to go to bed in a few minutes. I want to say one thing to leave everybody with, which was one of the main things that I taught all the people that I worked with: safety. Safety with me was always number one, and that's what I try to instill in all the clients: be safety. And I feel this is a safe platform.
Wow.
Well,
I'm
thanks,
glad to hear
Gail.
that.
Grazie.
Safety
Gail.
is a very important aspect of your life, just to feel safe. So when you take that away and you don't feel safe, that's when all the hurt starts, when you don't feel safe. Everyone should feel safe, even in their own home. Nobody should feel unsafe, but unfortunately, it's not the case.
Well, thank you, Gail, and thanks for your Italian continental disposition. It is bringing
Grazie.
humanity to us after a robotic experience in the institution. You know, I think it's just roboticized. It sort of like kills the humanity. So what you're bringing is the opposite. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, Elaine put safety to all. That's right. Feeling safe is good, isn't it, when you feel safe?
Yeah.
Yes.
No one wants to feel unsafe. But I know some people live in fear, and I don't ever want to live in fear. Never. I hated it when he came home. That was fear
Yeah.
factor. I didn't know.
Sheila said something there, Linda James. Can I read it?
Yes.
She says, Happy Thought 77, these chats are so therapeutic. People never need to feel isolated.
Oh,
Sometimes
nice.
it can take a while to trust others.
Very nice. A beautiful comment.
And then she also says something to you, Dallas. She says,
Okay.
You've got a mind full of information on various topics.
He does. He's
said-
very smart.
Yeah, she says, thank you. Thank you, Dallas, for being here. As everyone else, we all need a safe place. And she puts XXX.
Bravo.
So
What a great
Dallas
man.
is doing something there. You got a fan club.
Oh, thank.
This was great. You don't know how good I feel now, and I'm very
Oh, I'm
thankful.
glad.
I
I'm
really
so
am
glad.
thankful. I
And
needed
thank you
this.
for
I
the
really did. I found myself getting a little, of all people, me. I found myself getting kind of a little depressed, and I don't like it.
Well,
I don't-
you feel that you need this, and I feel that we need you. So, I think it's fair trade.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful comments, everybody. Thank you.
So, Gail, go well and have a good rest, and hope to see you soon.
I was going to make my meatballs, but not at 2:30 in the morning.
Meat. Did you say meat? Wait, you
Meatballs.
gonna stuff those meatballs with something?
Yeah, I make homemade meatballs, and I'm making stuffed shells, but I'm not doing that now. I gotta
How
go.
meat? You mean you stuff the meatballs with something? Put
My meatball recipe is the same recipe the Sopranos use. My friend gave me the Sopranos cookbook, and it had my meatball recipe in it. Well, no, I stuff my shells with ricotta cheese that I make homemade, and I make my own, grate my own cheese and breadcrumbs, and stuffing shells tomorrow with my meatballs and sausages.
You started talking food, so Dallas normally tells us what he's been eating.
I think that Parmigiano Reggiano, I just eat that straight up sometimes.
Oh, you do?
And I do like pears with gorgonzola as well.
Oh, that's not bad. But the Parmesan cheese with, do you eat the plain?
I do that Parmigiano Reggiano just straight up.
Oh,
It's
you can sprinkle some on your fish.
and I even eat. Sometimes I'll even eat that sheep's milk Romano just straight up at times.
You're a hoot, Dallas. Oh.
This week on Linda James.
I'm having reactions here.
Yeah.
I'm having
I wonder
reactions.
he had to step out of the building a couple of times,
It's
Oh.
like I'm just going there in my head, and I need to just not.
Well, it makes it's fun. It's
I have some hamburger too that I'm gonna make meatballs with.
Why
but I was
don't I
thinking of-
stuff your meatballs with that?
You
with
want
that
the recipe?
Provel.
I'll email you the recipe.
Dallas,
How about stuffing with that Provel? Provel, which is a St. Louis invention,
Oh boy.
which,
No,
which is
I have Parmesan cheese and Romano. I mix them together, and I put that in meatballs. And I saute my garlic, and I put fresh parsley and 2 eggs and fresh breadcrumbs, and then I bake them.
Okay.
And then with my ricotta cheese, I put 2 eggs. I put mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, parsley, a couple of eggs, and I stuff my shells and bake it in the oven with the sauce over it.
maybe you get that mozzarella mixed with that Provel. It's a hybrid of provolone, Swiss, white cheddar, and has a smoky flavor. It's a processed cheese that's delicious. That was invented
Can
in
you put
St.
that in the comments so I can write it down?
Okay.
It better not mess up my recipe.
Where
I
was
just
it
gonna make
invented?
some
St.
albundigos.
James, did you say?
Huh?
I was just gonna make some albundigo soup, which is the Mexican meatballs.
Okay, so now
Is
we've got
that
to
one cheese you're talking about, or is that a whole bunch of cheeses? Or is that one?
Yeah.
Now where did he go?
I'm still.
What are you? Oh, you're
So
in the
Linda
kitchen.
James, we
Oh,
got
I
to
know what you're doing.
the
You're in the refrigerator.
yeah. We got to the kitchen cookery section of the show.
Where
So I
is
make
it?
You know, we got everything.
my
Comic
albundigo soup.
relief, seriousness, confessions.
We went from fish to meatballs to. I
Yeah.
don't know what kind of cheese. Provel cheese. Did you ever hear of that, Linda?
No,
Oh, he's got
and I have Italian in me,
Pecorino,
but evidently
Provel.
not enough.
I never heard
What?
of Provel cheese.
And
Where,
it's a St. Louis thing.
where are you?
Okay.
I'm here.
Are you in the kitchen in the
What a
refrigerator?
I'm
treasure.
here. Got it here.
Oh,
Provel.
let me write. Let me write this. What's it? Is it like a Parmesan cheese flavor?
No, it's not. It's a
Uh-uh.
hybrid of it. It was invented in the Little Italy of St. Louis.
Oh, it's
St. Louis has a little Italy. That's impressive.
wow.
Oh,
it
the
called?
hill.
Provel cheese. Provel cheese.
Okay.
Jamar is going to look it up.
And pecorino. Okay. And you eat those plain?
I do. And then this one's shredded. That one is called. It is a hybrid of 3 of them. I'll type it in.
Who? Sorry. Oh,
Can you repeat that, Dallas?
Provel. I'm gonna put it in.
oh, you putting in the comments? Do you cook for yourself, Matthew?
I do, but not anymore. Not recently. I do on occasion.
Now I know Linda's Italian, so she cooks, right, Linda?
Well, when I was on assignment, I was cooking for everybody else, and the largest I was cooking for was for the branch, 2,000 people.
Holy moly! What'd you make?
Oh, wow.
Chicken?
Oh, all sorts of things. So it's making schnitzel, bolognese. What else were we doing? Everything, Gail. Steak. We ate well at the
Sounds
branch.
good.
Very rich food, yeah, but it's on mass scale. Mass
Oh.
scale, you know.
That's a lot of people. Wow. I'm impressed with that. Wow. Remember when we used to have the meals at the conventions, at the assemblies?
Yeah,
I hated it when they stopped.
yeah. There was a fun aspect in that, eh?
Oh, yeah, I still love that instead of having to bring your own lunch.
Yeah.
Adopted. Oh, well. Well, you can't have everything. Well, Dallas, thanks for the cheese.
And it's mostly available in St. Louis. It's a friend in Texas. Somebody in
Well, I won't be going to St. Louis anytime soon, so.
and maybe you might get to go up the Gateway Arch.
Who?
You might ride up the elevator up the Gateway Arch.
Where's that?
That's in St. Louis. That's the gateway to the west. It's a landmark.
St. Louis, Missouri?
Yes, the Gateway Arch.
Oh.
I've never been there, but I know about it. And they got river cruises on the Mississippi on the
Wow.
river boat.
Oh, I would love to go on one of those.
I'm hearing Tina Turner right now. Aren't you? Rolling. Rolling.
I'm getting punch drunk
Rolling
now.
on the river.
You got a good voice, Linda.
Thank you. Everything's a song. I actually was the devil with the blue dress on for Halloween once.
The
And I was
Provel,
Tina
that
Turner as well for
Like
Halloween once.
Bill Clinton with his. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Right.
Oh, stop! Whatever.
Bad Gail.
When you start saying like Bill Clinton, just stop.
I know. I just said bad. I said bad Gail. Bad Gail. Bad Gail.
That was so smart. Thank you.
Bad Gail.
Well,
I didn't-
Linda James, you can't say you don't have a range on your show, eh?
Right. You got to have me
Good
come on all the
people.
time.
Good
Have all
people,
this
yes.
Fun.
And you know,
conversation.
You know what though? It's wonderful to hear this feedback and you know to hear it from Happy Thoughts and to hear it from you, Gail, because that what you both have said and even others is just confirmation of what I'm really committed to cause here. And thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it.
No, tonight was very therapeutic. Can you go on a little earlier? Because it's like 2:30 in the morning my time. No. What time is
I'll,
it
I'll
there?
give it some thought. I'll give that some thought. Yeah.
Was it midnight now at your house? Midnight?
Yeah, it's going to be midnight. Yeah.
And Matthew, what time are you where you are?
9:30 a.m.
In the morning? Oh,
Yeah.
in Dallas, honey, you're the same time as me.
I'm on Eastern time.
Yeah. What are you doing up so late at Dallas?
Well, I'm here on this show.
This is the time that I used to have when I was on 6 screens, when I was given a slot on 6 screens.
Wait,
the
weren't you on
Watchtower.
before his? But didn't you go on before Rick's show?
No, I was the last show of the night, and we would
Oh.
often go all night. Okay.
Wow.
And I'm really a night person, so as long as the conversation was going, I was fine with it. And every so often we'd get like what I would call the after 5 sillies. We would
who?
get drunk. I would call it the after 5 sillies.
Oh yeah,
where
you
you
get
would
lunch
get
drunk.
ridiculously
Yeah,
laughing about really dumb stuff, but it
Like
was
we're
so
doing-
fun.
like we're doing now.
We're almost there.
You're speaking about meals and about
Snakes.
and also about maybe we'll have to speak about construction projects
Construction,
Wow.
like what?
and which I know my father he helped with the building of an assembly hall.
Oh, that's
Quick
impressive.
Build. I was on Quick Builds too.
He helped. It was in Pennsylvania
Yeah.
before my time. He helped build an assembly hall in Pennsylvania.
I actually liked doing Quick Builds, to be honest with you.
And-
I did.
And y'all been to Pennsylvania?
I have.
And he helped build it, and it's an assembly hall. It's in Grantville, Pennsylvania.
I've been to Erie, Pennsylvania.
He helped build Grantville Assembly Hall,
Wow.
and saw the different steps of it built,
Yeah.
and even everything from even knowing how the seats were anchored down, and even seeing the carpet and the seats going.
It's amazing, isn't it? That I will grant them. The 3-day Quick Builds are really amazing to watch.
Actually, this took more than 3
for
days.
Assembly Hall, it's going to be more, but if the 3-day Quick Builds were amazing to watch.
And was part of that, and that was in Pennsylvania was our assembly location was Grantville.
Now, when you moved to North Carolina, are you here by yourself, or is your family with
I
you?
live with my mom.
Oh, she should come on the show. No.
I think she's still believes it, but
Oh, she's active. Okay.
hasn't been to meetings.
Does she-
I'm the one. I'm the only one that's woke up.
Oh, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters
So it's just you and your mom?
that's living here
Nice.
until I find someone in my life.
Well, I hope you do. You deserve to find somebody. You got a lot to offer, Dallas.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You have
Grazie.
many talents.
Grazie.
How old are
That's
you,
the
Dallas?
Gracias.
Not I'm trying to play matchmaker, but how old are you?
Oh yeah, matchmaking.
39.
You're only
39.
That's how old my daughter is, 39.
I have a daughter who's 40.
My
Can you
son's
believe it?
55 and my daughter's going to be 57 in May. I can't believe they're catching up to me.
Right?
Yeah. Well, Dallas,
Every time I look at my kids, I'm like, how did this happen?
I don't know. I was say to myself,
This
I can't
happened.
believe I'm still here. Never mind, look at my kids. Well,
Well, yeah.
well, I better
Life
go to bed.
happens.
Okay,
Huh?
sleep well.
Thank you, everybody. What time do you stay on till? 5?
Oh, I'm gonna close up in about 25 minutes, probably, unless we're intensely into another subject,
Besides cooking.
depending on how I feel, and
Okay.
sometimes the conversation will flow longer and I stay on longer. But
You didn't mind us talking about food, did you? You
no,
didn't-
this is a Dallas thing.
Well,
Dallas go
well,
together.
well, it's about many things.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty knowledgeable, Dallas. You really are.
I like to know about things, different
It
things.
shows too.
That's
It
a good.
shows.
That's good. Knowledge is power. By the way, remember that.
Amber, it's hello.
Hi, 2:30. All right.
Well, hi, Amber.
Adios, everybody.
Arrivederci. Arrivederci.
Adios, hello, or goodbye. I forget.
Gail. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci is right. Bye.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Now I'm getting punch drunk too. All right, I better go.
Dean Martin's. That's how you can listen in the different songs. That's how you can get an
Oh, I can't
education as
stand
well.
Dean Martin. I don't like Dean Martin. Well, I like the Rolling Stones and the rock bands. All right, then. I gotta go.
Okay.
Well,
All right, shut up, Gail. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
night,
I have
Gail.
Arrivederci.
Sending
Good night.
you a text.
Arrivederci. Well, that was
Okay.
fun with Gail.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
And it was fun hearing about your foods, Dallas, and your fishing. So, Linda James, where are we?
We
We
are.
went from healing and protecting our nervous system, recognizing the patterns, not just the incidents. And so, yeah, I think we've had some rich discussions on the show.
I think so too.
What is it? How to protect yourselves through documentation, keeping safe, sharing with trusted support groups or people, or following up in writing, involving independent authorities where necessary, protecting our mental health. I think that's a big one.
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, and just paying attention to repeated patterns of abuse. I think that's just what I pull from these discussions. So, yep.
And
Over
it's
to
not
you.
uncommon to find yourself within the same kind of situation again, even though you've left one. Because the reason why you find yourself in another situation like the one you left is because it's familiar. It's not because you're dense or you're stupid, because cults and abusive people need people that can work for them. Okay? You're not stupid at all. If you find yourself in another situation like this again, it's simply because it's what's familiar. It feels like home. Okay? And we're naturally drawn to things that feel like home, even if we've come to realize it was toxic. It's also normal to mourn when we leave something toxic. Even though it was a smart decision to leave it, and having them not in your life anymore is a smart thing. It's also normal to mourn. People might say, oh, you should be happy and just move on. Okay, but you'll find yourself in these different stages of grieving, even an abusive relationship or abusive group. And that's part of the moving on. That's pretty
Well,
normal.
well, you got a point there, and absolutely, it is. You're gonna have your grievances, but given such as the difficult thing is getting out of that cult more than it is in, because you're gonna grieve for the ones you love in them. That's in. You're gonna grieve for the ones you love in there.
Yes, yes.
Which I do.
Welcome. I've heard you mention that too. That's very common, very, very common. There's also something called institutional syndrome, which when you leave an institution, such as maybe being in prison, you may have heard about situations where somebody that leaves prison tries to assimilate into society at large, which is what I'm wanting to support you in, and I'm needing your support myself to assimilate into society at large. It can be tough, okay? It's foreign for us, plus it's not uncommon for us to experience high anxiety, maybe even some panic attacks and stuff. You may have heard of stories where like people will get themselves put back in prison because that's their home. That's what
Yes.
feels normal to them. So it's like they sabotage themselves. I've heard of situations like those that work, those that are at places that are for the criminally insane. So it's a prison for the criminally insane. So there's psychiatrists there, and they take medication, and they have a date coming up to where they might be able to get let out. Well, they might take them off of their medication so that they can be viewed as someone who needs to remain there, because they're in fear that they might do again what they did before, which was, something that they would not have done if they were in their right mind. So
Yeah.
when they're med compliant, they're functioning better in life. When they're off their meds, they're not. So they might be doing that on purpose. So-
It's also known as Stockholm Syndrome
Ooh, yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that's very
True.
familiar. Speaking of Stockholm syndrome, I associate that a lot with trauma bonding, which is some people think of it as like, you've had trauma, I've had trauma, let's bond. But it's more like someone scares the crap out of you and you end up bonding with them because of the way that they've kept you in a state of tactical alert all the time. Okay, and then they give you, intermittent positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, and that keeps you dependent upon them as well. But there's something about the trauma that is used that helps people become dependent upon the abuser, the perpetrator. What did you want to say, Dallas? Sounded like you were going to say something.
I agree. They want you dependent upon them, but the longer you're away from that cult, the less you're gonna miss it. Where you will lose your grip on it and not miss it all. After hanging on to it by a thread, then you're gonna just drop it and never miss it, and you're gonna have absolutely no regrets.
Yes. A perpetrator. Go ahead, Matthew.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to derail you there, Linda.
A perpetrator wants their victims to believe that their victims will be nothing without them, when in actuality, a perpetrator can't be the perpetrator without their victims. So when you're told, you'll be nothing without me, you'll be nothing without us, if you leave, you'll be out turning into a prostitute or a drug addict, or you'll be nothing without me. This is done on purpose to make sure that you remain with them, because the perpetrator needs their victims much more than the perpetrator wants to convince you that you need them. Please remember that.
Yeah, Linda James, I don't know. I've got a comment if I'm
Yes.
able to. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
I think it's a very important point to normalize and validate for survivors, what you're mentioning there, because many people, after leaving one abusive system, right? You're already, I can see you can fill it in. As soon as that happens, they're vulnerable to other environments that replicate the same dynamics. Yeah, Dallas.
In reality, the abused spouse or partner of an abuser, it takes them about 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
9 times leaving the abuser to make it stick. So police officers dread domestic arguments, okay? Because they show up because one of the spouses is getting choked or something. But when they try to arrest the one that's been doing the abuse, the one that's been abused will be like on their backs, begging them to not take their abuser away. There's just, I consider it somewhat of an addiction. So those are dangerous situations for police officers to show up in.
Yeah, so I mean, look, many people when leaving one abusive system are vulnerable to other environments that replicate the same dynamics because what did you say? The patterns are familiar? Did I
Yes.
get you right? Yeah. So because they're still learning to recognize the warning signs, there's a
Yeah.
learning process here. You know, who graduates? But, you know, so yeah, what do we say? Very common for survivors to end up in another abusive situation after leaving. So abuse isn't always what obvious at first. You know,
Right.
systems that isolate, systems that control, systems that shift the blame. That's how we started today, shifting the
Hmm.
blame. They can appear different on the surface. So what helps? Awareness. Awareness helps. Recognizing patterns helps. What did you say? Trusting your intuition. Did I
Yes.
catch it?
That
Yeah.
intuition that we were trained while in an abusive relationship or group to not trust is really
Yeah.
there for a reason, and it is to trust. I've never ever heard anybody say I didn't listen to my intuition and then I regretted it. Like I think I'm saying nobody has ever said they regretted listening to their intuition. I've never heard anybody say that. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. Who regrets following their intuition? Yeah, very interesting point. So yeah, um, shifting blame can appear different on the surface. So what helps is awareness, right? Recognizing the patterns, trusting your instincts, your intuition, like you say, but protecting yourself early, using that to protect yourself. And leaving is one's group doesn't mean that you're weak or failing. No, that's a guilt trip.
Correct.
Yeah, here's the reality framing for coming out of a harmful, abusive, high control situation is that you are not weak or failing. It means that you're in a healing process now, and every time we stop and take a step is actually part of reclaiming autonomy, you know.
Or discovering it for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so survivors, they find themselves very often in new abusive spaces after leaving because the mind's trained like that. But so recognizing the pattern, trusting your instincts, it helps protect your boundaries and gets you your voice. So every experience, even difficult ones, is teaching you about what is safe, what is healthy, and what your boundaries are. That was a big thing we were talking about. I don't know, for the past 15 minutes, actually past almost 3 hours, two hours 45 minutes, because all of these experiences, that even the difficult ones, it's training us about what is safe, what's healthy, what your boundaries really are, and in that awareness is a very important form of power. Very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was telling you, I don't know if yeah, I'm going to just admit to this. Earlier today, I was arguing with a bot. A bot. I was standing up for myself. And I was actually proud of myself for standing up for myself. And I literally told them, you don't get to talk to me that way, and I deserve an apology to a bot. But you know what? I'm at a place in life to where when somebody talks to me truly disrespectfully with anger when I know I don't deserve it, I actually have something to say back. And for me, this is huge growth. Before, and 20 something years ago, I would have just zipped up and taken it and probably thought I deserved it. And that's not who I am today.
Because that's because you learn to set boundaries. That cult was all about to break your will and to make you docile.
That
And
is something.
being docile is not a good thing, and because then you don't set no boundaries.
Can you explain what docile means?
It's being yielding. glad you asked that. Were
'Cause
you
I-
yielding and submissive
Okay.
and like
Because I'm very into the definition of words. That's why.
and that's a good thing. That's good to
Thank-
be into that.
Thank you. So I'm going to
Yeah.
close up within the next 10 minutes or so. But you go
I
ahead
just
and make
want-
your point, Matthew, and then we'll kind of say goodnight.
Oh, okay. All
But
right.
if the conversation flows, it flows. But go ahead, Matthew.
I was just going to support Dallas on this question of what is docile. You know, it also extends a bit further, because you could say that it also describes someone or something like an animal that's very quiet, very reserved, gentle, easy to control or manage or teach. It implies a non-aggressive personality that's obedient, submissive, such as a docile pony or a docile horse or docile students, you know.
A sheep,
Yeah.
sheep too. Sheep.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Sheep. Like as in
Yeah.
sheep and goats. Yes, sheep.
And while goats, they are wise. They're more cautious. Because they're so wise and shrewd.
Yeah.
Goat is, instead of docile, they're wise and shrewd is what they are.
That's the personality of a goat. Okay.
That's the nature of them to be. They're a shrewd
Okay.
animal.
Okay.
Linda James, I'm going to say thank you very much for being a gracious host. And Dallas, thanks for being with us. Enjoy your presence very much. But I'm going to wish everybody a good rest, or a good week ahead, or a good set of days ahead. And I want to just say thank you very much, Linda James, for graciously hosting this and for the efforts that you put in, and also those that have been chirping in the live chat, and also our visitor Gail that we enjoyed. So yeah, it's been quite a show, eh?
It has been.
I'd like
I'm
to
Dallas.
hope that it's been solution oriented.
I hope so. Dallas, did you want to say a few things before I say goodnight?
Well, thank you for being a generous host, and that hearing about different ones, their stories in life, and learning points from them. We all can do it from each other.
Yeah.
And
Anything else?
about your beautician.
About my beautician?
Yes, beautician, you were.
Yes. Yes.
And
I wa-
and when I typed something in there about it,
Oh, okay.
my grandma being one.
That's right. Yeah.
And before that, she was a server. She was a server in food service. She would serve tables. Well, years before my time, long time.
Okay.
And she was also the pianist in a church way
Very
before my
cool.
time, when my aunts and uncles were used, sometime them before they were their time.
Okay. When my grandmother was a beautician, that was at the time that women would be at the salon every single week. They were either there to get their hair done, set for the week. They would also get maybe a color and or a perm. It was a weekly expense that was put into their weekly finances. By the time I became a beautician, it was like Vidal Sassoon kind of hair styles, the Farrah Fawcett hairstyle and Dorothy Hamill, which was a skater that was, she had a certain kind of hairstyle. And, you know, over the years, my daughter has become a hairstylist and now my granddaughter. And I'm just pretty proud of all of us.
And well, you would have liked to, and would have got along with my grandma.
I think so too.
But except it was different sides of the nation. We were on the east, and it was my grandparents. They were residents of Arlington, Virginia.
Okay.
Which is outside of Washington, D.C. So it's a Washington, D.C. suburb.
Okay. Yeah. I remember when I was working at a hair salon, there was another lady that worked there that was much older than me. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I was doing my hair one day. She comes up to me and goes, hairdressers don't do their own hair. Like it was something I needed to be educated about. And she was one that was a weekly get her hair set for the week and, you know, got her perms and hair colors and everything. But I was acting out of hairdresser character, evidently. And she was schooling me, which I thought was funny and true.
And not only was my grandma one, but she had one sister that was one too.
Okay.
I think her sister, she went studied it, or maybe she learned some of it from her one sister.
Okay.
Because she came from a big family.
Yeah.
Which she had two of them sisters that didn't survive.
Oh no.
And so she had 4 brothers, 4 sisters, but if they all survived, she would have had 6 sisters and 4 brothers.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, she was the final of the sisters in 1918.
Okay. She was born 1918?
Yes, she was.
Okay, so 1917 is when we had the Spanish flu, which was a pandemic that went all over the world. So people died from that. So it's amazing.
She lived during that time in history. And
Yeah,
she lived before females were ever allowed to vote.
this is true because that didn't come into place until 1920. And
1920.
it took 100 years, like starting in 1820. 100 years of doing a whole lot of things for the woman to be able to get to vote. Also, for African Americans to be able to vote as well.
That's true. African American and other races, Latino, maybe Latino and Oriental.
Yeah, so that to have that human right to begin to vote was a very big deal. And it was after World War II that the U.S. didn't want us to go back to how things had been, you know, since the first of the century. And that's when they were putting together the human rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which Eleanor Roosevelt went to all these different places to work out with leaders of these different countries to see if they would agree with these human rights. It was quite the feat, but she had already been used to speaking in public when her husband was president. There'd be times that she would tour different, she would go to these. So she had a friend who was a journalist, a female journalist, and she went all over the US and she would tell Eleanor, this is what's going on over here. And this is what's going on over here. Eleanor would be like, okay, I have to go see it. And she would talk to the people Then she'd go home and tell her husband and say something needs to be done about this, you know, and things would get, most of the time, would get done. So, you know, and she would publicly speak on different occasions and stuff. So she was used to this traveling. She was used to being a public speaker. And she ended up being somebody that was very much of an influencer. Okay. She, later on, after her husband's death and everything, the United Nations was very familiar with her. And so she got to have that position of putting together the 30 human rights and going to all these different places for them to agree with it. So that's why it's called Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is what I quote Article 18 about, which is the freedom of religion that gives us the human right to change our belief, whether it be to a different religion or to have no belief at all. That's Article 18 under freedom of religion. So I always bring that up because this is something that the organization has successfully gone to court and fought for their freedom of religion in different cases and things. So just as much as it is their human right, it is also ours. There's also an announcement I wanted to make. I've been streaming on YouTube and Facebook every week for years. And in starting next month, I'll be only on YouTube rather than YouTube and Facebook. So I won't be on Facebook any longer. So we have a couple of weeks to kind of transition over to being only Facebook. So there's going to be a bit of a difference there. Did you want to say anything else, Matthew?
You gonna be on Facebook?
I will not be. This show will not be on Facebook any longer.
It'll be dropped from Facebook and just be here.
Just be here on YouTube. Yeah.
More convenient as well.
Yeah, it is convenient, but I've also had it on Facebook, and so I kept it on Facebook. But the situation that I'm going into next month will make it to where I will only be doing here on YouTube, the show here on YouTube. So
Right.
that's going to be a change. So I wanted to let people know of that change.
One thing about my grandparents, they have never had internet or email. And one time that mobile phones became popular was in the 90s.
I remember they were called car phones. And I remember thinking, you must have a car to have a car phone. And then they became cell phones so that you didn't have to have a car.
Didn't have to have a car, but they were big in the 90s, I understand, and the start of the 21st century. And a mobile phone, well, my grandparents, they never even had one of them their whole life. They lived without it. So they were, so some areas they were backwards. And even after Grandpa died, and even their home, they had stereo console for a long time, and 21st century, it was still there in the living room.
Yeah.
And which I like having, love the stereo consoles, which I own one myself.
Do you? Okay.
And you got a Discord account, so I can share some things with you.
Okay. Thank you. That's where that bot was, on Discord. The bot I argued with
Yeah.
was on Discord. Do you want to say something to Matthew?
I'm just going to say good night to Dallas. I know it's day here, but I'm going to say go well, Dallas. Good being with you. Great hearing your stories and great hearing your participation. Linda James, I've repeated it, but I'm just going to say in closing, thank you very much again for being a gracious host. I'm going to take a bow out. And if you close up, I'm going to listen to your wise words of wisdom and whatever Dallas is going to chirp up there. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's joined in and just made this a really pleasant experience with your contributions and various chirps that have been coming through. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it.
Good night. Thank you for joining me, Matthew, and thank you, Dallas, for joining me as well. And Gail,
Well, good night, y'all.
good night, and thank you for joining us, Gail. And thank you for everybody that showed up in the chat tonight, and for anybody who listens to this later, after hours. I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for any of the comments that you're going to leave. This is truly a highlight of my week, and I need this as much as some of you have explained that you need it as well. It's really a highlight of my week. I also wanted to make that announcement again that in 2 weeks, I'm going to be only doing this show on YouTube rather than YouTube and Facebook. So I will still be making up my flyers and my announcements to wherever I put my flyers, there'll be a link for you to get to YouTube. I think the only place that doesn't work is on Instagram. So basically, I'll be just letting you guys know the name of the channel on Instagram so that you can come over here and join us. And I call this a cyber meetup, which is something I borrowed from Wildwall. And I wanted to just tell him again, thank you for this terminology. I really appreciate it.
Well, I like Wild Wall. He's a good old Southerner right there. He's from North Carolina. Huh?
Good guy. Yeah. Yes, he is. He's a good guy. And it's amazing the things we learn from each other. And it's helpful to know that some of the struggles that are unique for survivors, that survivors go through, that we get to hear from others that, you know, that they can identify, they can relate. Whereas sometimes people that haven't gone through these situations have no clue and pretty much think it's unfathomable to even have experienced these things. So I think it's very helpful. So I will see you guys next weekend. And that is I'm saying goodnight at this time, so I'm getting ready to head out of here.
Arrivederci.
I need to back it up. No, I can't. I was supposed to read a comment, but I missed it, so hopefully I can retrieve it later. Okay, so I'm going to play the out.